I do push it when I take in the application, but it doesn't always, that people don't always have access to it. So
So do you,
it's not a
do you
big deal. I just, you know,
Just to know
want
that
you
this is
to
how
know
it's
that there
gonna
is a delay, and
Yeah.
it just to let you know. All right, so we're live on YouTube. I'm recording and I'm letting everybody in now.
great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is the start of the HPARB Thursday, April 22nd, 2021 regular meeting. Let's start with the flag salute. I pledge your allegiance to the
Allegiance to the
flag
flag
of
of
the
the
United States
States of America,
to the republic for which it
Republic
stands,
stands
one nation, under
Nation,
God,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and
liberty,
liberty, and justice for all.
Great, thank you very much. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of April 8th, 2021?
So moved.
A second? I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Old business. I make the motion to adjourn 8 Dartmouth Road to the next meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. So that is myself and Judith.
And for the record, our next meeting is May 13th.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that is far away.
Summertime. The next one is 268 Division Street.
Good evening, Anthony Vermadois, 68 Union Street. So I think that at the last meeting, there was a request to just to verify the elevations, which we did have done, and we added some additional ones. I think what was throwing everybody off at that last meeting, and I sent you folks a note to that effect, was that 39.9 elevation, which is actually existing, and the plan is to cut the slope back at that point. So that'll be much lower in the.
Can you just present us with your drawings and just give us a quick overview of what you plan to do, please?
And Anthony, can I just excuse me for 1 minute? Mr. Francis, and just letting you know that 8 Dartmouth has been adjourned to the next meeting.
Yeah, we're discussing his fortune.
Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, Anthony. Sorry about that.
Okay. So yeah, so we have the
Can you show us the graphic?
sure. Can you bring up A4B, please?
Yep. Hold on 1 minute.
Thank you.
What would you like up? A11, you said?
For A4B. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so what I hope you can see there is the proposed wall of the top of the driveway, which is mostly at 38 feet above sea level at that point. The top of the wall is proposed wall will be 40.75 feet above sea level. I'm showing that you can see a dashed line there, which approximates how that slope works and how that's being cut back. So that's how that 39.9 got confusing. Brick veneer, bluestone cap on the wall.
And the plantings remain the same?
No, so per the request of the board, we're changing the plantings, and if you could go please to the landscape plan, I think it's L01. Yeah, there we are. So, all right, if you can see there, I think there was a suggestion at the last meeting to continue the osmanthus towards the other side of the driveway entrance, which we did. We're going to want to keep that maple there, though. We have the notes about the infill of the existing privet. The landscaper just showed diagrammatically how the planting in front and above the wall would work, and then that actual planting is specified on the plan. So that funny grass that's there now will go away.
Oh, good.
Great. Comments from the board, Val?
No, I think it looks good. He's answered to what was asked of him.
Judith?
Yes, I think it's fine. It's a good job.
Bethany?
Fine.
Steve?
A question to the architect. We had also talked about changing that lower wrought iron railing to the lower stairs to maybe something that matched that comes off the porch.
Yeah, did I change that? Not sure if I have that specified on the plan, but we can do that, yes.
Okay, then I think it's going to look wonderful.
Bethany?
I'm good.
Thanks for that, Steve. That was perfect. I'll make the motion to approve 268 division. Is there a second?
Second.
That's Steve and myself. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
58 Palmer Terrace, please. '58 Palmer. We'll second call that. Is Zach with us?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, sorry. There I am. It wouldn't unmute.
Yes, we're here also.
Okay, great. Tell us about your project, please.
Actually, this for 58 Palmer, we are coming back to you with some more information having to do with the abandonment of the existing sanitary system,
And
as
you
well
are,
as, excuse me?
who are you, please, for the record?
Sean Leonard. I apologize. Sean Leonard, I'm the architect for the applicant. And what we're looking to do is to construct a pool. We came to you with a pool design, but the trouble with the pool is in constructing the pool, it's going to disturb the existing tree that is there, which will need to come down. But not so much even the swimming pool, the removal of the existing sanitary system, which is a block pool that is failing right now, is going to hurt the root system of the tree. And then once that happens, they said that, eventually the tree will start to decline and it becomes unsafe in the area. So is what I'm being told. So that was part of what we looked into. I spoke to an arborist about it, and
Is this the plan we're looking at right now? Is this the proposed plan that you are?
the original,
presenting to us tonight?
this was an alternate plan here of turning the swimming pool. We had submitted a proposed plan that right there, that was the original proposed plan that we had put into place. In either case, that we are into the root system, if we stay within the zoning setbacks,
So what plan is the correct plan that we should be looking at?
this is the correct plan we should be looking at right here.
And did you propose to add some additional oaks in lieu of, chopping down this 4-foot diameter tree?
Yes, they'd be willing to plant some additional trees, but to what caliber?
To several trees that will, I guess add up to 48 inches.
Okay, they'd be willing to plant some new trees, and they would plant them, I guess, along Germain Avenue.
Okay, so are we gonna do 2-inch caliper trees that would come up to 48 inches, or what is the math here?
Well, I can discuss a little bit further. There is a number of trees that are already on the property, as you can see, that are on that corner. So there's not a lot of room to do a lot of filling in.
Well, we asked you to think about it. Maybe
Yes.
it's not 48 inches. Can you
Hi,
come up
this
with?
is Mr. Chairman. This is John Reuter. I'm the property owner. Since acquiring the property, we have actually planted 5 different trees, but we're certainly willing to plant some additional ones to make up for the tree that we're taking down.
Okay, can you tell
Again,
me?
the issue is there's a failing sanitary system that needs to be changed. We have the approved plans to do that. We've done all the paperwork for that. And regardless of the pool, we will have to remove and dispose of the existing sanitary system, which all 3 pools, the main cesspool plus both leaching pools, are all wrapped up in the roots of this tree. And our concern is that if we take those out and we leave the tree there, then we're in danger of having the tree fall on one of the 2 structures on the property.
Can you offer the board, I guess, some additional trees in place of this one you're proposing to cut down?
We will absolutely offer the board a number of trees that in some reach the diameter of this tree.
Okay, so what are we doing? Like 2-inch trees, 4-inch trees? What can you offer us?
A combination of the above, if that's all right.
Okay.
A question, Mr. Rudder?
Reuter, yes.
Reuter. If you're going to put in a new septic system, is it going to be one of the low nitrogen systems? And the second part of the question is, can you just abandon your current septic tank and everything, leave them in place, fill them with dirt, and protect the tree?
Yes, we are putting in the new nitrogen system.
Right.
It was quite an ordeal to get that all sorted out, but yes, we've got that all planned and approved and ordered and so on. And what I've been told is that because there's a century of waste left in the old systems, it needs to be entirely cleaned out because it's continuing to pollute.
I see. So it just can't be abandoned in place like in.
No, I thought about that as well.
Thank you.
So could we work with something like maybe this is exactly 6 between 2 and 2.5 inch calipers spotted along Germain to help break up the green giants? And would you offer us a number on what the average height of these green wall would be along Germain? I know that'd be a little bit helpful with the traffic and the lights and all kinds of things like that. But is that something that you would offer us?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So what
can we say 8 to? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm just asking you what you would be comfortable with, just so we have some sort of height. You know, these things can go pretty high. So
the trees,
the green giants.
Yes.
Sean, can you help me out there?
Yeah,
Like 20,
yes.
20 feet or something.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
It would be there like a sort of a maximum height of 18 to 20 feet, and then you'd have these oaks running along, somehow dotted along Germain Avenue, the 6 oak trees that we're talking about.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep,
we can do that.
6 oak trees along Germain, and then you're saying that the green giants, the ones we would plant, would be.
Well, there are some there now, right? So what is
Yes.
the intended height of these things? 18 to 20 feet? Is there something that?
Well, they're only about 8 feet now because we just planted them last year. But they will grow as high as I understand 14 to 18 feet.
Oh, more than that. I'm just hoping that, you know, with the 6 oak trees and that the green giants held it somewhere between 18 to 20 feet, that we get some sort of something would break up that green wall. You know, the white oaks. So I'm asking, would you go 18 to 20 on the, you know, as like a top height on the hedge, and then 6 white oaks between 2 and 2.5 inch caliber trees dotted along Germain?
Yes.
Yes.
Agreed.
Does anyone on the board have anything to add to that? Do you agree or disagree with that compromise? Great.
I don't have a comment because this property actually had an approval to do quite a large addition. I guess it was several years back, Mr. Leonard presented.
Mm-hmm.
So in the scheme of things, this is a very small scope of work relative to the house additions that were approved.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve 58 Palmer Terrace as discussed?
I will make that motion, Judith.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Judith and Val, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.
Excuse me, 69 Redwood Road, please. 69 Redwood? Okay, we'll second call that. Carrie, is this the third time we've brought this up at a meeting?
Yeah, but I think Charlie's on.
Okay. 69 Redwood Road, please.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about the next one. This will be the third time, yes.
I'm not sure, but I thought I saw those solar panels up there. But all right, well, I'll make a motion to table 69 Redwood. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you very much. 103 Main Street.
Yes, here.
Can you tell us about your project, please?
Can you
Yeah.
please introduce yourself?
Yes, so Charlie, General Manager of Sag Pizza. We are trying to do a vestibule here at Sag Pizza in the wintertime to divide the front door and the street. Would you like me to do a screen share?
Yes, hold on one moment.
All right, so here is shown the front of Sag Pizza. What we were trying to do is, from preventing the cold air to entering the restaurant, is putting a vestibule in front of the restaurant to break up the cold air coming into the restaurant. So this would be right in place of where our current front door is, and only the door would open onto Main Street.
Dean, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. So is this a seasonal application?
Yes.
Or it's just permanent?
Temporary. So it would be removed once the weather adjusts to where we wouldn't need it anymore. So probably about, I would say March, we would remove it for the summer season. So once it starts getting cold again, we'd put it back up.
Val, comments?
I think just as a visual, if the glass, I'm not sure if the panels can line up with the brick wall height, but it is what it is, I'm okay with it.
You're talking about the upper glass lining out with the lower glass?
Yeah, I mean, you can't make it perfect. It's a commercial installation, but if it could be something that visually, had some sort of relationship to the glass, that would be nice, but.
Okay, I could try to work that out. We were trying to line it up with the interior glass, not the exterior glass. as far as
Gotcha.
looking into the window.
Yeah.
Judith?
It makes total sense. I think you might want to keep it up into April, judging from today's weather.
Yeah. Definitely.
Bethany?
I think it's fine.
Steve? Steve, you're muted. And Bob. Bob, do you have a comment?
I think it's fine.
Okay, two questions. How wide is the sidewalk and how far does this protrude from the front into the sidewalk? How wide is that?
So as far as the width of the sidewalk, I don't have the exact measurements, but as far as from Sag Pizza and to the end of the sidewalk, I would say it's a good 7 to 8 feet. from the bench that's out there. We do outdoor seating here year round, so I think it's more than enough room where it's not obstructing the sidewalk and traffic of people at all.
Thank you.
Okay, so applicant, would you consider dropping the lights down to meet the existing windows, if that's possible? If not,
Yes, if that's
worst case
possible.
scenario would go with this.
I just think it would be a pretty narrow area as far as that brick's only about not even 2 feet.
So you'll entertain it for us, and
Yeah.
if it works out that you have to build it the way you have it designed, then it is what it is.
I will talk to the design company and see if that's possible, if they think that it would be structurally stable with that on there, and then we could go from there.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve 103 Main Street?
I'll make a motion to approve this enclosure.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
So that's Val and Bethany. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, applicant.
Thank you.
11 Washington Street, please. Washington. Okay, we'll second that.
It's a sign. Can we take a look or?
Sure. Carrie, can you bring that up for us? Thanks, Bethany, for being efficient.
Thank you. Maybe it's not on the list. I don't know. No, I don't see it.
It's in the file. Looks pretty good.
So I don't have this because the applicants are supposed to be here. They've been here, they've called. So let me just look one more time for them. Skylar, are you on?
Hi, this is Allison from Obligato.
There. Hello, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Good.
It looks like our sign company did not show up again, which I'm a little sad about.
Allison, do you have it on, or do you want me to second call and I can scan it in for the board to see?
I don't even have a photo with me. I don't have anything. I
Okay. All right. So we're
dropped...
gonna second call you, and then I will get it in.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Next would be 55 Archibald Way, please.
That is Hamish. I don't see him either.
Okay, so we'll second that one. 26 Main Street, please.
Hi, I'm Megan Toy. I'm the manager of Grenning Gallery.
Do you have a graphic to share with us?
Yeah. Can you see that?
No, hold on. Yes, now we can.
Okay. So we want to paint the front. We want to have an orange awning, and our window no longer says Grenning Gallery on the door. It doesn't say anything. We switched our door around, and we'd like to place a circular sign up top.
And you said something about paint. What are you painting?
The storefront, we'd like to paint it like a a dark gray, similar to what Mark Borghi did.
The gray that we're looking at now?
Yeah.
Do you have, did you submit a paint chip of some sort?
I have a filled out application in front of me. I've got an application for a sign, certificate appropriateness. I don't know, because I'm coming in for my boss, Laura Grenning, and I'm not sure if she's already submitted that or not.
Elizabeth? Vale?
Yes.
How can we ratify the committee of two? Can we do that tonight?
No, we can't because it has just been enacted by the Board of Trustees. So I have to get the copy of the enacted law back from the Secretary of State. They have to sign it. And only when you get it back from the Secretary of State is it enacted into law. And then this board has to adopt a resolution setting forth the committee protocol, which I have a draft prepared that I'll share with the board next time for adoption.
Okay, so that's May 13th. So applicant, this is the gray that you wish to present to us, right?
Correct.
It's May 13th is the next meeting. So I'm just, I'm going to see how the board feels about all of this. Judith?
Okay. So what do I need to do?
Just listen, please.
Oh, okay.
Judith.
All right, this, we're looking at a picture of what this width looks like.
Sorry.
And we're also looking at the orange circular sign above the store. Is that also up for comment?
That's proposed. She said the awning, the orange awning, the door front, and everything that we're looking at is evidently proposed. And then I guess there's that vertical sign.
The vertical sign is already up.
Okay.
I would like to say something. I'm the landlord at 26 Main Street, Laura Grenning.
Wait, that's okay. We're not, I'm not, excuse me, please. We're asking the board their comments at the moment.
Okay.
So Judith, we have the round sign, I guess the awning, and then this gray and the door. How do you feel about it?
I think it's acceptable. Yeah.
Bethany?
I think it's fine.
Bob?
I think it's fine.
Val?
I want to hear what the landlord has to say.
Steve, do you have comments?
It's really minor, but I think the orange sign should be hung higher before over on top of the highlighted brickwork there.
It looks like they kind of have it centered.
Yeah, but I see that it's centered against the blue sign, but I would just prefer if the lower edge was above the, I don't know, it looks like dental work on the brick. I'm not sure.
A different row of bricks.
Right.
Okay, public comment, please. State your name.
Jill Shearer, and I'm the landlord. My only comment is fairly minor, but important to keep the peace in the building is the end sides. I would prefer that the black painting only extends half the width of those end pillars so that that one store doesn't dominate the front of the building.
Oh, applicant, how do you feel about that?
Like, I'm a little confused. Like, the black won't go above where the like the furthest potted plant.
Well, she's saying between the two doors, you have the purple door and the gray door. That brick in between those doors, I guess you'd split the difference with the color.
Oh yeah, that makes sense to me.
And then on the other side as well, is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
Val, please, we're reading your
I think
comments.
aesthetically, it's going to picture frame the window, so I think that would be suitable.
Applicant, how do you feel about these comments?
I'm fine with these comments.
Okay, so we're gonna hold you since, I don't think it's right to take you all the way to May 13th. But if you can really come super close to this grade that you presented to us, which we will check, does that all work?
What, you want me to provide a paint chip to you?
Well, no, we're going to prove it tonight. We want to hold you to the color that you're presenting to us now. We usually ask for a chip, but I'm not going to go that far.
Oh, yeah, it is what it is in front of you.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve 26 Main Street as presented and as per our comments?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's Bethany and Val. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can I ask Elizabeth a question?
Sure.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
I find it stunning that tenants can come to make proposals to change a facade of a building and signage without a landlord's consent.
There usually have to have owner's consents with all applications
Okay.
that come into the village.
What's interesting is that it is the owner who is the applicant. If you look at your paper, number 8, that's her.
Yes. Jill Shearer,
Yeah.
the owner.
So I was confused as who was me.
Typically, the village requires owner consents for all applications.
Okay, somehow I thought the owner was differing with the shop owner. So I would have thought the two of them would have
Get on the same page.
some meeting of the minds before she made the presentation to this committee. But it all worked out. I was just wondering about from protocol.
Mr. Williams, we do have an owner's authorization from the owner.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's move on. 203. Point taken, Steve. 203 Main Street.
Hello, this is Rich Tupper.
Great. Can you tell us about your project?
Yes, we're going to re-shingle the sidewalls of Hillary Collins' house. I met with the board. We're going to do shingles on the side with a 6.5 inch exposure. We stripped the shingles on 2 sides of the building, and there was lath on the side, horizontal, and we took that off. We put plywood on. We put Henry blueskin on, waterproofing, and then we were stopped, and now we're just looking for permission to take the side off towards the library and put the plywood on, and then shingle with the exposure that's on the house already, 6.25 to 6.5 in Cape Cod gray, and that's pretty much it.
Zach, can you just sum this all up, our trip to the 203 Main Street?
Sure. Well, the project was briefly delayed, but that north wall facing the library retained the siding, which is not original to the house. But what's proposed is to replace the same dimension around the entire house, which is certainly permissible. They're not trying to recreate what it might have looked like 100 or more years ago. They're simply replacing in kind with what is there. What permits them to put the shingle directly on the plywood is, as the applicant has explained, an application of this blue membrane, which is porous, which enables the shingles to breathe. Otherwise, there would be a lack of a space there, which would be a structural problem. So I think that the work as proposed is perfectly appropriate and reasonable.
Great. Steve Williams, comments?
I think it's fine.
Judith?
It's good, but I do have a question. Is it normal? I guess it's for Zach. Is it normal for historic houses to be re-sheathed in plywood when they were not sheathed in plywood before?
Yes, in this case, what's happened is that the house has already been re-shingled, and the shingles are shorter with less of the what's called the weather, less exposed, And it wouldn't be possible to reapply them to the original system of supports, which are spaced wider. They need more structural support. And so applying plywood just as a support for the shingle doesn't change, it just reinforces the project, basically.
Just to be clear, Judith,
Oh, thank you.
just to be clear, they started this project without us going to the site and reviewing the status of the shingles. So 3/4 of this house was ripped off before they received a stop work order. And that's how we
Yes.
got here to this point.
Yes.
So then we went out with Zach and he did a forensics and here we are.
Yeah, good. I just was curious in general. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's workmanlike. It's the way it should proceed.
Okay, so any comments from the board? We do, everyone? Okay. Is there a motion to approve 203 Main Street as presented?
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
So it's Val and Steve, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Sag Harbor Yacht Club, we're discussing, what are we discussing, Dennis?
I got
Dennis,
it.
you're muted.
I have it.
Dennis, we cannot hear you.
See there?
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So Kerry, if you could put up on the screen the sketch that we sent over that Dean had requested. And then there was a second one that I sent later this afternoon because the person that did the drawing left off the junipers that were being moved. And so the second one that I sent about 3 o'clock shows where the junipers are being moved to.
Okay.
So if you walk down our call it a boardwalk, it's a wooden walkway from the street to the front entrance gate. On our left side there are junipers, and on the right side there are junipers. They're all inside wooden boxes, so to speak. All the junipers are going to be put into the box that's on the east side of the walkway. So instead of having some low-growing bushes there, they're all going to be junipers. And most of them are fairly substantial, especially the two that are on the east side of the property at the present, east side of the walkway at the present time. And it will, we're not going to lose those trees because we put them in about 20 years ago, and they're gorgeous specimens. The plan is to pivot the entrance gate that we have now. We're moving it 8 feet to the south on the west side and approximately 15 feet to 16 feet on the east side, so that we make the front entrance gate straight, parallel to our bulkhead, as opposed to the angle that it's on now. It's on the screen now, and I hope everyone can understand it. It's a copy of the existing survey with lines drawn on it. So if you follow my cursor, these are the junipers that are in a planter on the west side of the walkway. And here's the walkway coming up here. Comes up this way.
Dennis, they can't see your cursor.
Oh, they can't see it. Okay.
So hold on. I'll try to help them.
All right. So you see where it says concrete, and then there's all those circles? That's the gas tanks that are buried in the ground. To the left of that, or the west side, is a wood walkway that goes from the street all the way up to the front entrance gate.
Okay.
No, this is a simple ask. So, Carrie, can you bring up the photo of this gate?
I can.
So Dennis is proposing to straighten out this gate, which would be it's on a strange, quirky angle at the moment, and just to make it plumb with the docks within their property lines, and to move Hollywood junipers, I think there are 2 of them, to the south to accommodate this move and to make it so the walkways are still functional. So it's a simple one. He did submit a drawing with some highlighter indicating what he's doing. It's very difficult to see what he's presenting, but it, you know.
Yeah, it's a small section of the survey. It's hard to describe it.
I think the photo, what you submitted a building inspector could go out there and determine that, you've done the right thing or not. But for the board, I think they can, hopefully from the picture, understand what you're saying.
I'm
I
trying
know,
to
Kerry,
pull it
were
up
you
now.
able to find the pictures?
I'm looking now.
Okay.
From last meeting, so.
Dennis, did you say that you sent new pictures today?
No,
You're
we sent them
seeing-
about a month ago.
You seeing what he sent today. That's why
Okay.
I'm having such a problem finding him, because he sent them, it was from last meeting.
I remember the presentation
Yeah.
very clearly.
Yeah, I do.
My
too.
problem was that the legal documentation of that thing that we cannot read right now, but you can, physically read it, the document. But I think we were all on board with this gate being straightened out.
Yes. And we saw it. I went and saw exactly what he was doing, what they're doing.
Yeah, I went there too.
So
So did Bob, so we're all good.
You
So
got
is
it.
there a motion to approve Sag Harbor Yacht Club as presented?
So moved.
Second,
Second,
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So I think that was Bethany and Judith?
Oh, Steve and Judith.
Steve.
Steve and Judith.
Steve and Judith, great. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the second call, 55 Archibald, please. 55 Archibald,
I don't think they're on, but
we can leave that for now.
we can do 11 Washington.
11 Washington, please. 11 Washington.
Okay, so I'm Allison Letta, the owner of Obligato. So I'm here. I am missing my sign people though.
They actually are saying they're trying. I have an email from them. They said they're on. So,
Okay, great.
So can we see a little bit more of this graphic?
Yeah, hold on 1 minute. Can you see it?
Not the top so much.
There
yeah.
you go. There you go.
And then is there a graphic that shows the dimensions?
Here.
Here's the color.
It's 12 inches in width. No, sorry. Hold on.
I think you're right. I think it was 12 wide and
12, you're right. 12 inches wide, 108 inches high. Area of sign is 18 square foot.
which we kind of which we copied kind of from the last store near Maine, the size.
Is there anyone from the board that has an issue with the sign? I make a motion to approve 11 Washington Street as presented and as per these dimensions. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Great. All in favor?
Dean and Bethany?
Yep.
Opposed? Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you, Carrie.
You're welcome.
Okay, new business. and that's 30 Walker Avenue.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, how are you today?
Hi, Gary. How you doing? All right. Good afternoon, Chairman and Board. This is Frank and Bridget Sokolaski here in regards to 30 Walker Avenue. We're just continuing our discussion from a couple weeks ago in regards to garage, second floor, pool, and a deck. We tried to make all the changes in regards that was recommended, and we're here for to continue the discussion.
We did ask about, is there a chance of saving any of the oak trees on the property that exist?
So the oak trees that we submitted, obviously, that was in the updated landscape plan, the ones that are going to all going to remain. We also sent in back in February some drone footage, I believe, that shows that all the oak trees are going to stay and remain on the side of the property. Again, the ones that were removed were the ones that were directly affecting the proposed pool. We also increased our screening with some of those green giant arborvitaes that are again detailed in that landscape plan. And but again, everything else will remain.
So for the record, if we could just look at that site plan and you could point out what trees that are to remain. And then I think where we left it with the house, we just wanted to see some more documentation on details regarding the aesthetics of it.
Absolutely. And Carrie, that was the I guess the updated screen landscape plan that was sent in last week.
Okay, hold on 1 minute.
I'm also accompanied by the architect and Sherry if there's any questions in regards to the design plan that was also sent. I did bring in samples of siding, deck. We also did trim. I dropped off trim and brick in regards to the aesthetic of the proposed chimney.
And I have them if you guys want to see.
So we want to see the details or how the trim is detailed on the plans. And first
Absolutely.
we'd like to see the
So
site plan showing us where these saved trees are, the oak trees.
So Frank, this is where you said that you were keeping all of the trees, correct? Where I'm circling?
Yeah,
we don't see anything at the moment.
I can't. Yeah, I'm having a difficulty
okay.
seeing it.
Sorry.
The photo or we had drone shots just to try to make sure that we understood the trees that were staying. I believe the photo should be 2412.
Okay, hold on 1 minute. My computer is not letting me.
That might just be able to help out with the landscape plan, the details.
Hold on 1 minute. The computer, there we go. There you go. So these are the new plans that you submitted last week.
Correct.
So can you point out the oak trees that are being retained?
So that would be helped out with that photo. I believe it's 4212, Carrie.
And that's what you
that
said
was
the last
back
time.
on February, correct.
Okay, hold on.
In the new plans, we also made sure that we, with the topography as far as the height of the pool, we also answered the deck as well. We entered in photos of the proposed front door, also the aesthetics of the chimney, what it's going to look like. So I guess.
Can you tell us some dimensions? I drove by the house today. It's a nice house. It's well elevated above above the road. What is your roof height at the peak of your roof? What's that height?
So Ann, I don't know if you're on, if you can help out.
I'm gonna have to do some mathematics here, so.
We did in a demolition plan. You can see the shaded area that might be able to answer your question in regards to assisting with the roof height.
6 and 27.2. In my mind, which I guess is not in anyone else's, is that I've showed the existing grade at 51.6, and I've showed the height of the existing first floor elevation at 51.4. I'm sorry, 51.1, and then I've shown how the tallest point on the building. So it's a I'm gonna go add them all together while we're waiting here. To me, that's clear how tall that building is, and it's all, you can verify it back to the survey with elevation numbers corresponding with the numbers on the plans. So I'm not understanding what hasn't been made clear about that, if someone could.
Well, since I asked the question, my response is that I don't have the plans in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't memorize them. I made a site visit today to realize that although your plans might be above grade, the fact that the front yard is about 8 feet above the road will make this appear to be a very massive building once it's, so I'm just going to try to ask you for a sense of dimension. Since you are the architect, to me, you can tell me, I asked you for the grade to roof tip dimension, so I don't think that should be so confusing.
Well, undoubtedly, without looking at the plans, I'm sure it is a bit confusing, but
Do you have the plans?
yeah. I have to convert.
All right, I'll withdraw the question. I'll withdraw the question. Thank you.
It's basically 30 feet above the existing grade of 51.6. So it's 30. The house from the first floor to the tallest roof is 27 feet 2.5 inches. So it's not all that, like in the scheme of things, it's not all that tall, really. But I get your drift about that it's sitting up on top of a hill. But the real pertinent things about that are that it's not infringing on the pyramid law. And I don't think the massing of the house is dense either. There's 2 peaks, but then the midsection is back a bit, and there's a lower roof that but I don't think it appears like
Eric, can we fix that background?
Once it starts going up.
Excuse me?
Can we fix the background? Someone's making a lot of racket back there.
Yeah, hold on 1 minute. I can't monitor them and then. Oh, okay. Can everybody mute themselves who is not talking? Okay, go ahead, guys. Nope, they're still not.
So, I mean, while we're going through, we've been at the residence. We've lived here for almost 11 years. This year will be our 11th, and the property is approximately. Oh, we have a picture. All right, so it's not that it's that high from that retaining wall. That again, that was pre-existing. That was here when we first moved in. All we're looking to do is we're not looking to build any monstrosity, but obviously within regulations, we're a family of 5 with 3 children in schools, and that's what we're looking to do is just to try to construct a house that will fit all of us, obviously within all the regulations within the village.
So I just want to discuss the house at the moment because the existing trees to remain are not on a plan that someone can go verify in the field. So we'll come back to that. Let's discuss the house. Val, do you have comments regarding the house?
No, I like it. I think it's a nice complementary addition to the house, and I see no issue. And as long as they don't take the American flag off, we're good.
I love that, and the American flag will stay.
Judith?
Yes, I think it's fine. I drove by there today and looked at other houses in the area and thought that it seems to fit in because there's quite many different kinds of houses in the area. So I'm fine with it.
Steve? Steve Williams? Bethany?
I'm fine with it also.
Bob?
I'm fine with it.
Okay, so I'm having a tough time resolving the tree. There are quite a few oak trees on this property. I did ask at the last meeting for that to be somehow quantified or somehow.
I'm trying to pull up the pictures, but they're just not loading.
Yeah,
all of them.
yeah, but I didn't ask for a picture. I wanted, is it 10 trees? Is it 5 trees? And where are they on the property? Which is really important because the landscape plan shows something that's works with the screening, but it's not showing how it relates to the rest of the properties in that area. So that was really important to understand how many trees are coming down. We talked about the white oak in the front yard coming down.
No, that's going to stay.
So I'm willing to go for a vote and separate the house from the landscape, and we can revisit that so we can have these trees documented on some sort of a plan.
All right, and just so I think you've been there, all the oak trees that are there are remaining. You just want them documented on a plan. That's right, because we're not taking down any more trees. There were some trees on the last one that had been taken down, and those are now not shown anymore. But they're mostly at the perimeter. They're not, anywhere in the middle of the property. They're except maybe in the front, but that's still they're all at the perimeter. But we will document them and put them on the plan.
Okay, so we can, and as far as today is concerned, you're not cutting down any trees at the moment?
No, everything from the way the site is now, everything is staying.
So why don't we go for a vote on the house and then come back with the landscape plan, just so we have that information on a plan, if that's okay.
That's good.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve 30 Walker Avenue as, oh, you know what, we didn't talk about these details. I saw the file. Can you just
right, okay, so
through?
yeah, they're super simple. I didn't think I needed to get too into detail, but it's basically they're as drawn. It's
Miss Sherry, we
1 by
ask you
6.
every time. It's very important. We're an aesthetic board.
Okay,
how that detail works out is super important to us. How the trim around the windows work out is super important to us. Doors, all this good stuff. So please, if you don't mind, just a little bit to us.
I'm really happy to, but I don't have like a big serious detail of it, but it's very simple. It's a 1 by 6 rakes and fascias with a 1 by 2 on top of that. And that's it. It projects 6 inches off the house in both directions, the rake and the soffits, the eaves, and
what's going around the windows and the doors?
I also dropped off samples of the trim that I believe Carrie asked me last week.
What is the size?
5/4 by 4 AZAC.
And around the doors?
Same.
Board, did you happen to see that? Did you look at her details? I saw that. I thought it was looked really good. But it's important that that you saw that, and I don't know, Carrie, if you have that that sheet it can bring up for us.
The columns are 12 by 12 columns you'd asked about, with 1 by 2 top trim and 1 by 4 bottom trim.
So we asked for all these details at the last meeting, and she, as with these leader lines going to notes, are indicating what she is planning to base this house with. Hopefully you all had a chance to look at that, and if you have, I'm happy to go for a vote on this.
Dean, tell me what page you want to say.
Val?
I think because this is a house which, just in terms of the architecture, is nice and clean. And as the architect said, it's got simple trim with a shadow board, and that suffices in terms of having a detail. I don't feel that it's necessary to blow up the detail to something.
No, what I did is I asked for her to detail it, and she has on the plan. She's called out the dimensional numbers of the trim, which is really important. My question is to the board, did you have a chance to take a look at that, and are you okay with that? So
I'm good with it. Yeah.
Judith?
If it's good for enough for Val, it's good enough for me.
Robert? Bob Adams?
It's good for me too. It looks good.
Steve?
It's fine.
Bethany?
Fine.
Great. Thank you for adding the information that we needed, but it's important that we try to save some of the trees in Sag Harbor.
Can I just add that I did my mathematical from feet and inches to feet, decimal feet, and it's 29.6 feet above the existing grade at the tallest point.
Thank you very much. Carrie, this is problematic. Whoever is making this.
I'm trying to find, I don't see whoever it is.
I noticed that the land planning services does not.
Great. Bethany, you were saying?
I muted everybody, so here. Bethany, you have to unmute.
Bethany.
I'm working on it, guys.
Okay, great.
I'm good.
So pushy sometimes.
I'm good.
Okay, great. Okay, so the vote is on the house only, and we'll look forward to the landscape plan in the near future.
Could you just please confirm that that is the only thing though on the landscape plan? You said everything else looked okay?
It looked pretty good. It's just that you're missing, how you're working in your landscape plan with the existing trees. You might have to move things around. I'm not sure. You might have to take a tree out, but it's super important that it's just not Leland cypresses and hydrangeas in the middle of the woods. So,
yeah,
kind of important.
Okay, good.
Okay, I make that motion to approve 30 Walker Avenue as discussed. House only. Is there a second?
I'll second.
In favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. That was myself and
Thank you.
Val.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.
So it's got to be somebody getting feedback that is unmuted, and the only one that's unmuted is us and the board. So I have everybody else muted.
Well, the noise stopped now.
Yeah, it might be a cell phone.
Okay.
Okay,
I have everybody else muted, just not us. All right.
81 Long Island Avenue, please.
That's Jared.
Yes, hello. Good evening, Jared London. I'm here for my clients at 81 Long Island Avenue. May I share my screen?
Please.
Absolutely.
Okay. Just a moment. Okay, so this is the property in question, 81 Long Island Avenue. Sits by the corner of Garden Street and it's next door to the Bridge Street condo development. It's 22,000 square foot lot. There's an existing home built in 2002. The existing home is 3,400 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, has a pool, raised deck, and a garage. We're proposing to demolish this house and build a new house. New house will be 3,370 square feet, slightly smaller. Again, 4 bedrooms, 5.5 baths, no pool, 1 car garage, patio, and trellis. I'm
What
just
was the
going
square
to
footage again? 3,200?
3,370. It's going from 3,400 down to 3,370.
It's still over 3,000.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. So the existing property, there's an existing house on the lot. This was the proposed, which we had looked at during the discussion. Additional photos of the rear of the property. There's a large bamboo grove on the east side of the property that's going to be removed as well. So looking at the site plan, if everyone can see the site plan, we're proposing, this is the existing house here. We're proposing a new residence that's going to be approximately 40 feet further from the road.
Great.
It's going to be approximately 5.5 feet lower than the existing house because it's a flat roof and it doesn't have a gable. This site plan here shows it in proportion to the neighboring property, and you can see that we're bringing this house back so that the house and patio is more adjacent to the neighboring property on the road. Looking at the landscape plan, this is the east side of the property where I was showing that bamboo grove. We're proposing to remove the bamboo and we're going to replace it with additional green giant arborvitae. Some of those arborvitae will come from the west side of the property and some of them will be new. They're full-size, full-grown arborvitae, so it'll provide additional screening between the house and the condos that are on the opposite side. A lot of that dense underbrush and dead planting that we saw by the road will be cleared out. We're going to be replacing that with flowering dogwood trees. The remaining screening trees will all stay. We're also proposing to put in some additional natural vegetation, winter berries, winter throd, bayberry plants as well, and a couple groves of grasses at the front. Elevations of the house. And materials, we're proposing to use a natural vertical grain clear cedar with a gray weathering stain. Limestone look porcelain pavers. We're going to be keeping the driveway as a crushed quartz with a steel metal edging. Dark bronze aluminum windows and doors. I'm also proposing, and I've also submitted details of the trellis, details of the fascias that are going to be on the house as well. And that's about it. It's fairly straightforward. We're bringing the entire house. We're in a zone AE6, and we'll be bringing the entire house back into the X zone here.
So just regarding the architecture, we'll run through the board and then we can talk about the site as a separate thing. And then I guess we would vote to move this on to a public hearing. Judith, comments about the architecture?
I think it's a vast improvement over what's there. I like the fact that it's going to be lower, farther back. It's not going to have a pool. They're going to remove all that bamboo and put natural local vegetation around it. So I think it's quite a good thing.
Great. Steve Williams?
It's Judith used Val's approval last time. I'm going to use hers. She said exactly what I would have said.
Bob Adams?
I think it's a big improvement through that space right there.
No comment. Val?
Yeah, I think it's unusual for modern architecture to be found in Sag Harbor, but the fact that the house is being pulled back from the road, and I think that it's lower, and this is a roof pitch which is quite shallow to begin with. So in terms of its impact, it's minimal. And I think that it's something on a case-by-case scenario, we take a look at the architecture, and in this case, I find it suitable to the site. And I agree with the proposal.
Bethany?
I agree with everything that's been said. I'm pleased with this plan.
I like the architecture. I think it's innocuous. It kind of sits into this site where when you drive by, it's jarring looking at what's there now. This is a vast improvement. And I think it's a great application of this modern architecture in the site. My a couple little comments. Is housekeeping really is the back courtyard for the garage. The setback is 5 feet for any sort of a driveway. A plant list detailing how you're going to landscape this site. That's a plant list with all the specifications. Even though you are moving existing trees, we need to know how big they are and how this really is working. If you go onto the site, I mean, the selling point last time is that you have all this dense vegetation on the borders because you have second-story decks. It's really important that that is fleshed out for the public hearing, especially. This is all working, even though the trees might be different widths and heights and things. That really needs to be in some sort of a plant list. And all the native stuff, I think it's fantastic. It's just, again, if you could put the sizes and the spacings and how all this is working, I think it's a great project.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you.
So I make a motion. Carrie, do you have when the next public hearing would be? We could set like a public hearing for this.
May 27th would be the public hearing.
I make a motion to set a public hearing for 81 Long Island Avenue on May 27th.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, Jared, I'll get in touch with you.
You got it. Thanks a lot. Good night.
All right. Okay, great. 27 Meadowlark Lane.
Hi there. My name is Pete DePasquale. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Okay. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Or is everybody able to see it or not yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Let's just see if we
I'm seeing the last presentation up on
yeah,
my.
hold on. I'm stopping him now.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Am I able to share my entire screen or just the?
So if you hit what you want to share, and then you're going to hit new share.
Yep.
There you go.
Okay. I'm just gonna give a little bit of background and then flip to some renderings that we have to help put this in context. I'm finding that I can't share both at the same time, but so this project came before the board in a preliminary way a couple of different times, sort of more than a year ago. The client's life and planning changed a bit through the course of COVID. The project was maybe not going to happen, but he sort of changed course and come back and would like to build this project. The owner owns this house, 31 Howard Street. It's a unique building for the block. He had the opportunity to buy this lot on the other side of his back fence that goes onto Meadowlark. There's a lot of thought put into whether this should feel like one site or two. And the owner, they have young kids, they want to live in town, looking for some extra space and able to just accommodate the different people in their life. So building a pool, removing another pool on the existing Howard Street lot, and then building this house that's a total of 2,100 square feet, which is quite a bit below the maximum of 2,700 square feet. I'm going to do a new share here and just walk you through some photos or some renderings that we put together. So this is the house from the street. There is a sort of historic little shed on the back of the property back on this side. And the owner wanted to create basically create a garden on this other lot, and to create a garden pavilion that sat within it and it acted as a backdrop to these plantings. We chose this crafted cedar facade to resonate with that existing historic shed that's back there. So it felt at home with that. Just a few images of, it's really about the experience of this yard and developing a mature landscape. This is the view as one comes upon the sort of steps down to that property from the Howard Street property. This is a close-up view of the cladding, the stained cedar. This is the reading of the two properties as one. It's still legally separated. And this is the transition from the existing house down to this new building. And so I'm going to come back to these drawings. I believe we submitted this series of landscape drawings before, giving the materiality of the landscape, the hardscape, as well as the plantings. The previous submission that we had before, and as you probably have seen on the plans, had areas of paving around the pool and a proposed spa, but both that paving and the spa have been removed from the scope, and the site plan with the architectural drawings reflects that. So lawn, and then the balance of the planting at the edges for the rear yard. They just want to open things up. This is an image of that shed back beyond. It's on an adjacent property, but they like the idea of making it feel part of the property. An important component for the scheme is that, we've also reduced the pool size, and we're trying to, and the reason we keep reducing it, even though they really want a bigger pool, is to save these two existing trees right here. You can see them in the existing, maybe not so great in these images, but there are two large trees that they want to keep. And so the site planning has been organized around keeping those at this level.
Can you describe the details of the house and how the treatment of the siding and the windows and the doors and all these things are working out?
Sure. So
I appreciate the photos, but we'd like to see.
Sure thing. So here we're showing it as the client was back and forth on whether they wanted clapboard or shiplap. They prefer a shiplap system. It's a 10-inch board. There is I'm going to also pull up. We have a series of exterior details. Effectively, there's a set of vertical battens that are outside of it, and then the cladding, comes directly into those battens. The batten also acts as the trim at the edge of the window, and then the coping is the same 1.5 inch dimension as the batten, and it is a metal coping painted black to match the facade.
Okay, great. And the windows, can you just walk us through the windows a little bit?
Sure. So the windows, let me pull up the elevations. The objective was to create something quiet from the street. There are a couple of, they're tall but narrow openings back towards the street, and then it opens up on the back through a series of large sliders and some integral casements. And we're planning on using an aluminum clad wood window.
Regarding the architecture, Steve Williams, comments? Judith, comments?
It will be the only street on that, the only house on Meadowlark that's super modern like that. And I don't know how other people feel about that. It doesn't bother me. I think it's quite interesting. But all the other houses up and down the street are either modern Greek revival-esque or little ranch houses, or it's turning into quite a quite a mishmash. So to me, a suddenly very stark and modern house on that street is just sort of interesting. I don't know how the neighbors will feel, but I like it.
Bob Adams.
I like it. It's gonna make the neighborhood actually, it'll pull it out. And with the shrubbery and everything you'll have on it, I think it's gonna be a nice piece.
Bethany?
Well, I have a couple questions. Now, when I look at this plan, where is the shed that you were talking about, the little shed?
It's right back here.
So it's on the other piece of property, the one on Glover? Is it not
That's right.
Glover? It's
On Howard.
Howard.
Yeah.
All right. So, and it's on, the owner owns that, correct?
The owner does not own that property, no.
Oh, he doesn't. So he
Nope.
doesn't own the little shed. You were just mentioning that too. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think, so they own this property here,
Yep. Okay.
and then they own this property here.
Mhm.
But, I think just like with trying to save the tree and seeing that as like part of the neighborhood, they see the shed as just like a neighbor they want to have as part of their life too. So they just want to develop a
It's just
relationship with it.
interesting. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, honestly, it looks more like a large pool house to me rather than a house. Would that be, am I incorrect there in that?
Well, they are, the reason it looks really different is because, they love the Howard Street house. It is an older historic house with a lot of small rooms, and that serves them well in many ways, but they wanted to have something that was different and also just have more of a yard for their kids to play. So I think that, it will be used as a pool house, but I think it's almost going to be like a weekend house next to their weekday house. As different as that sounds.
Okay.
I'm a little conflicted. I mean, I think that Judith's opening statements about this house being in the historic district kind of resonate with me. And I just think that I really would like to give this some more thought, because although it's a case-by-case scenario, I think it's important to consider location. And so the houses sort of harmonize with each other. I mean, this is definitely not like the other houses, and to me could start a trend. If we look back at the last application, I felt like a case-by-case scenario needs to be studied carefully. And I think I just want to hold on comment for this. I didn't get a chance to study it long enough. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of glass facing the street, but there sure is a lot of glass facing the backyard. And if this is lit up at nighttime, it's just going to glow. And it has the potential to be controversial.
Steve Williams?
Oh, I already commented, but Val has made me rethink it. But I still think it's an attractive project.
So I'll start with the landscape and my comments.
Dean, can I just interject something quickly? I think there's a misunderstanding here. Meadowlark is not in the historic district.
Yeah,
No.
And so I think the potential confusion here is that the owner's house on Howard Street, that's in the historic district. So and from what we've been told, they have purchased this adjoining parcel. It is kept in single and separate ownership. It is in fact its own separate lot on Meadowlark, and that is not in the historic district. So this presents, aesthetic challenges, et cetera, in terms of the streetscape of Meadowlark, but there's no issue with regard to the historic district because this is not in it.
Right.
Okay.
Just wanted to say, I think the misunderstanding here.
Good.
So, I think those are all very good comments. I'd like to start with that. This project is 27 Meadowlark, and it's not part of Howard Street, although this is conceptually, this is how the client is coming through with the architect, but we're looking at this as 27 Meadowlark as a standalone project. And as far as the site plans are concerned, Howard's combined with this application, which I find not appropriate. There are notes on the Howard Street property saying remove this wall and put a new wall in, not minding the 3-foot offset. So if you want to do any work on Howard Street, please open up a separate application. I like one plan as context. This is what we were thinking. That's fine, but to combine the whole 2 properties together as one application, it seems like that, or could be misunderstood by someone walking through this property as a punch list. I think it's awkward. And the landscape plan and the architectural plans, as far as the site are concerned, are not they're not reflecting the same things, which I find also confusing. There should be a lot coverage. There should be some zoning notes somewhere on one plan that is the site plan, opposed to saying, look at the architecture plan, because they do differ. As far as constructing parking, a hardscape on village property, that's not appropriate. And then planting from the property line on the street side, the plants have to be 3 feet in. So you have like 3'9" from the property line, a line of crenata hedge, then a fence, and then I guess a privet hedge that's a little tight. So I'd like to see that all get fleshed out a little bit more precisely. And there is this shading for all the privet hedge, and there's a gigantic shade. I think there's got to be some more coordination between the architect and the landscape architect making all this work out. I do appreciate the design, though. I think it's there. It's just it's not totally there for me as far as what is going in, what's going out, what's proposed. Terraces is look at the architect plan and it doesn't really reflect that. It's confusing, and you really need to break apart the 2 projects in the submission to us, because there's no way we can approve a set of plans that has another house on it and proposed notes on there.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dean. I think if the lots are not merged, and it seems like they went through careful consideration not to merge the lots, that they should be on separate plans.
The roof deck, it says roof deck on one note. Is that accessible from anyone from inside the house to get on the roof?
No, the roof is inaccessible. We'll remove that note.
Okay, great. Let's see. Make sure the walls are 3 feet off of the. That was the other one. And there's something about a specimen, but you're not sure where it is or what that's going to be. It'd be nice to, or just leave that note off. We really need to know, on the plans that you submit to us, that we're going to sign off and approve something. It should be, rock solid.
Okay.
And as far as the, as I think it was mentioned, it seems like this is somebody's pool house, because you keep referring, which I think is not a selling point for us, that, there's the main Howard Street house, and then there is this house. It does look like a pool house to me. As far as Meadowlark is concerned, there were all these ranch houses that are now becoming different houses. So it's an eclectic street for me. There are some houses that actually look like replicas of, an 1838 house. But so I'm not going to fight that issue, but I just think if you could clean up the site plan. And as far as the details are concerned, thank you for walking us through the structure. But for me, it does feel like there's a pool house on Meadowlark. So I think maybe as far as my comments are concerned, there's somehow you can make this look more like a primary structure, would be a starting point for me.
I felt like the first time this was presented, right? You're bringing this back. Is that
Yep.
correct?
That's right.
This structure was like the landscaping. It was more hidden. I felt, but maybe I'm not remembering correctly. But
This image has been updated to provide texture on the hedge, but it's the same
all right.
planting proposal, same exposure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Judith, the site.
The site,
Comments on the site?
as opposed to the building?
No, do you have anything that you want to mention about the site plan other than that's what's been mentioned?
No, except I have to say that Val's comment is making me think again. So I'm assuming more will be done between now and the next time we meet. Is that true?
Yeah, so applicant, if we went for a vote, I don't feel as though that you have the votes, and as far as the site is concerned, that there's some house cleaning that has to take place on those plans for us to even move on the landscaping. So as far as the structure, I think some of us have said this does look like a pool house on the main street. So I don't know if you want to take those comments and just rethink this a bit. I don't think it are massive changes, but that would be appreciated. But we could go to vote on the architecture if you want.
I mean, I like to bring up just the presentation from last time, just for a moment, just to show some precedents of buildings that present in the same way towards the street that are primary residences. Would that be useful to show, or?
No, because we all have been down Meadowlark, and this is a stark difference between the things that are being erected now, and for us, it sounds like the majority feel as though this is like a pool house. So if there was some way to give this a little provenance, that it is a primary structure on this site, what I think would be super helpful.
Okay.
Okay. I think it's a great project. It's just these are just little details that I think that are
Could I just ask the question about this idea of a clapboard versus shiplap siding, and the sort of like the nature of that changing the reading, and if that a clapboard reads more appropriate than the shiplap as the infill cladding?
I'm just speaking for myself, but it looks like there is a modern cube on this property, and it doesn't feel like the primary residence.
Okay.
And that's just
correct.
Yeah.
That's-
Okay.
I agree, Dean.
Hopefully these comments were helpful. It's I make a motion to table 27 Meadowlark. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So that was myself and Bethany. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to help me understand, so the next steps would be for us to revise things for the next meeting, and then how far in advance do we need to submit them for your review?
Well, it's like you have quite some time, because the next meeting is May 13th.
Okay.
So it's 7 days, right, Carrie, between the submission and the next meeting? 7 business days?
7 business days, yes. And the next meeting is May 13th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
11 Ackerley Street.
Oh, boy.
Hi.
11 Ackerley.
I'm one of the owners. Hello, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Hi, how are you? Can you hear us?
Yes, we can.
Great.
State your name for the record, please, sir.
Sure, it's Tom Amico. I'm one of the owners of the property. My husband and I own it. So as you may recall, you probably don't, last meeting, so 2 weeks ago, we came and we had proposed raising the front of the house about 12 inches. And the feedback was that, it makes it look like a different house. So what we've done is just, there's no change to the height of the front of the house at all. We submitted new plans to reflect that are basically the front looks the exact as, except for the ivy that was there before, will look the same as it did before. Say Carrie's, I think you're sharing your screen. Could I share my screen? Is that all right?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Great, thank you. Of course, now that I said that, there we go. Are you seeing that now?
I'm still looking at that site plan.
Oh, you are.
Okay, great.
You see it now?
We do. 4 of
Oh,
7.
great. Sorry about that. Okay, so on the left is the house with the ivy, and I think I mentioned last time the ivy, unfortunately, had eaten through the siding, the windows, the doors, and it really committed pests and water in, and kind of destroyed the integrity of the house. Previously, as I mentioned, we were trying to raise up in the front above those 2 small windows, but as you see now, what we've done instead is just returning it to exactly the way it looks now without the ivy. But then off of the, trying to get a little bit of headroom in the back. So if you can see now, here's the existing, and the dotted line is the proposed.
Okay, can we just stop here for a moment?
Of course.
Zach, how do you feel about their proposal here?
Well, this is a this is a lot to digest. I mean, the side profile of this house looks nothing like anything that's recognizable. You know, I think that I understand there are headroom issues and all that, but ultimately, you know, the end product here needs to be somewhat respectful and in conformance with the massing and so this side wall is just, I hate to use the word, it's simply a monstrosity. So and in order to achieve it, we see that attic window, which is very large, I guess, and that's not original, has been moved back off the ridge because it's too big to fit anymore. I would say that with a little bit of forensics here, we could determine that the window that's there now is not original anyway. That maybe that needs to be tweaked. But I mean, the result, I guess the basic problem, to sum it up, is that the resulting sidewalls are simply evolving out of what is needed, what you perceive the need is to live in it. And I'm advising the board that their priority is not about how someone uses the building, but what it looks like.
Right.
And so there's a really extreme disparity here. So if, you know, in the interest of enlarging this house to live in it, it has to end up looking like something normal. It has to look like something that fits into the architectural vocabulary of the village, which this doesn't.
I completely disagree with you in that point, because if you go to the second floor of the original house,
okay,
you cannot stand up. If you
I understand.
5 feet 7.
I understand. With
So
due
you
respect,
have to give the owner a little bit of playroom here.
what I'm saying is that is what it is. And it is the purpose and the mission of this board to preserve that, not to accommodate whatever may be wished for. So there is a compromise that needs to be reached. And what I'm seeing here that Dean asked me to look at is not a desirable compromise, because it ends up creating a side wall, both sides, which are not aesthetically appropriate in the historic district.
I'll run through, but Zach, I want you to comment on the board's comments.
Of
I
course.
mean, I guess if you were to have an addition on this house, maybe it's I guess the right side, you would go up with a second story on that and preserve that. You'd add interest anyway to this east elevation, opposed to making one big, as Zach said, one big volume. But I'll jump to Judith. Just tell us how you feel about their solution.
Oh,
in this house.
it's not acceptable at all. It's a tiny historic house. If it weren't historic, you could do whatever you wanted to it, but it's in the historic district. It's a historic house. And if you can't stand up upstairs, too bad. But you might be able to come up with some sort of addition that could be added somehow, and it would be clear that it was new, different, and it would give you more space. But this is not the answer.
Bethany Deeren? We're talking about these elevations,
Yes, I feel too that there should be another way to make it as livable as you want it, and for it not to look like this.
Steve Williams?
I hope the applicant doesn't feel that we're being negative, but we're being guided by the Secretary of the Interior and their standards. I am right, this is a historic house, I'm not right?
Correct.
Okay, so we are being guided by the Secretary of Interior, which are federal standards. And what we're really saying that aesthetically, this extension should complement the original house and blend in with the neighbors. And this is just a solution that doesn't accomplish that. Right? So we're not being capricious, we're not being insensitive, but we're responsible for the facade of the house. And so, we're kind of advising you that there's another way to do it that will be maybe less dramatic.
I think that the backyard portion of the house could look like you could add a second story on there, but just an idea. Val Florio.
Well, I'll say this, I agree with the comments, because in just looking at the side elevations, it's like, what happened to this house? But I want to see if I can help the applicant kind of get off, dead center with this. And if they were to simply take the dormer on the second floor and move it inward, within reason, so that the gable end, if you look at the existing elevation, if you can keep the roof, the peak roof on this house, and then keep the shed roof on the existing portion, the same thing, the first floor, I think you're going to achieve the space that you're looking for while you're preserving the look of this structure. So is it Mr. Cuneo, the architect?
He's not on the line though, yes.
Okay.
You're correct.
So right there, keep that gable end intact, and then take the shed roof dormer and push it inward. So that creates the second floor space that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And continue to the,
and I appreciate the help. I really do appreciate it.
So that would be step back inward, and then continue your cursor until you get to the next roof line. All right, there. Okay, so that's a vertical wall surface. So the next shed roof for the lower section has to come into that. So you would technically push that one inward also. So the second floor dormer would receive the first floor shed roof. And I think your architect would understand, but that way you're keeping the gable end of the house intact.
Okay. Bob Adams.
I'm going to go along with Zach on this, but Val's got some good ideas here.
Okay, can we continue?
Yes. And the point is that we have to go with this line. This line right here up to gain a little bit of space here. But this is just from this point to here, this is just 2 feet. To this point here, 4 feet. And we can bring this line all the way down to the original line, but again, they were trying to put a master bedroom upstairs. It wasn't nothing massive, but if we can't, bring us up to the board.
So basically our problem is that we're a historic preservation board before the ARB board. So we're tasked with preserving these houses. So you have a classic Sag Harbor house here that you're trying to make livable in modern times. And that's the crux. So the trick is how do you add an addition and still maintain the character of this house? Now, I understand everything that you're saying. It doesn't work. Our interior program needs a master on the second floor and all that other good stuff. But we're left with the rendering that we're looking at that is in color, which is problematic. So it's not retaining the integrity of the history.
It doesn't lose appealing to you guys. Okay. Now we're gonna change down the roof lines and everything to the original way, and we're gonna try to gain some space inside the house. To the next meeting, we'll bring the plans to the right proportions. Then we can move forward. We're just gonna show you now the inside of the house, the conditions of the house inside. Can you see?
We're not looking at
there?
pictures. We're looking at a window schedule or something, a window schedule.
I'm not sure the applicant understands that the interior arrangements are not germane to this discussion.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Great. All right, thank you very much.
Okay, great. Thank you. I make a motion to adjourn, to table 11 Ackerley Street. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That was myself and Steve Williams. 65 Milton Avenue, please.
Hello, it's Nick Martin of Martin Architects, and I have with me Salvador from my office, and also the client, Suit Pakressian is with us. And I wanted to thank the board for all their effort and time in all these endeavors. And I thought I'd possibly just share my screen and dig into it.
Great.
Go ahead.
Okay. So we have 65 Milton Road, which let me just go into the Google images. It's in the Azores community, which is to me a very important and unique vernacular. It has a mix of various types of generally ranch houses that have since one by one been sort of renovated and adjusted. And there's a number of somewhat modernist, and there's some pieces from the late 70s, 80s, 90s. And so we're speaking about this house, which is 65 Milton. And
Mr. Martin, we're not seeing anything.
Oh, you're not saying, okay, hold on one second. It says I'm screen sharing. Let me just try that again. Hold on one second. Okay, is that working?
We just see a white screen.
Okay, I'll try it one more time.
Oh.
All right. Let me just close this out. Is that better?
No.
Not sure then. You don't see my screen?
You do not.
Okay, let me try that one more time. I'll stop share.
The Zoom stuff will be over soon, hopefully.
Okay.
Nope.
Wow. Okay. Salvador, let me think here for a second. I'm gonna just.
Carrie, were you telling people to like new share or something to hit that?
Yeah, what I just rebooted and let multiple people. So try it again.
Okay.
It's coming up, but it's just a white screen. So try to maybe do a picture, not something on Google
Okay.
Maps. Or
How about that?
nope.
It says that I'm screen sharing and it's live. Let me try it. Let me try a drawing. Hold on one second.
Nope. I think I have what you guys sent me yesterday. So let me see.
Yeah, the file has been adjusted with a few more existing conditions. Also, Salvador from my office is here as well. Do you want to open your? Maybe I could speak, Salvador.
Yes, absolutely. What do you want to see?
Yeah, just could you open those new existing condition files?
It had just flipped green and we could actually see the file.
That was me.
Oh, that was you. Okay.
Well, let me open up.
And just a little background, we did present unofficially in the last meeting. Go ahead.
Nick, when you share screen, instead of selecting whiteboard, select the other screen, because I think that's what was happening.
Oh, I think you're right. Smart guy. Let's see this again. Hold on. I see. I have multiple screens here. Is that better?
There you go.
Oh, Salvador. What would I do without you? Okay, so everyone can see?
Yeah.
All right, great. So this is on the corner, and now that you can do that, I can maybe zoom into the Google Earth. So here we have Milton and Cuffy, and we have this corner lot, which to me is an important little spot because it not only is the sort of the end of Cadmus, but also it kind of defines a bit the edge of this cornerstone of the vernacular. And as you can see, it's well placed with trees. There are quite a few. There's something like 37 existing trees, mostly oaks. Let me go through a few, and you can see this is a summertime shot that shows quite a few. Just go through a few more. And there's the street, just to give you a sense, that's Milton. As we're looking down, the property's on the left. So we have a well-screened house, and I'll show you later, there's a landscape plan, but I want to just give you a sense of, the breadth of the existing trees and how dense they really are.
What is the square footage of this new house?
That's Salvador actually in the background there.
Mr. Martin, can you tell us what the square footage of this new house is?
Yeah, so we have the first floor at 1320, and we have the second floor at 913. So we have a roughly 2,233 square foot modest house for this corner. Let me back out now a little bit. All right, get back into the file. Alrighty, so let me dig into the site plan. This is the drawing set. And so here's the lot. I'll zoom in a little bit here. This is the lot. And essentially, the approach would be from Milton. And there's been great care in trying to keep as many of the existing trees as possible, which is why the location is as shown. And I can show you a rendering in a minute, but essentially you can see the topography lines here that show that essentially the driveway would be somewhat keeping the house as an element within the trees. In other words, the hill, and you can see it here with all these topo lines, the hill would basically be embedding the house into the earth. And this drawing here, this site plan, shows the house as it exists with existing trees. And then I'll show you later a plan done by Martyrs that shows the potential landscaping. There's a total of 7 trees that we're asking to be removed, and they range in size and caliper, but essentially there's 2 or 3 trees of a larger scale, and the rest are small, as you can see here by the notes. So we have 1, 2, 3 larger scales, and this is a sort of a medium size, and these are smaller trees.
Fantastic. You're very sensitive to this. This is fantastic.
Yeah, we're very concerned, not as just a responsibly green firm, but also just in the context of the neighborhood as well. And I'll go into the landscaping plan. We've tried to consider that, and also the way that, so in this case, you'll see in the rendering, but we've been thoughtful of how to approach the upper level. So essentially we have a lower level, which is the parking, and then a gradient that rises to the first floor, another gradient that rises to the back of house or the pool area. And then essentially we've done a fairly extensive job of trying to screen on both the Cuffey and the Milton side, and then also being sensitive to both neighbors. There's a fairly high fence that runs along in this direction here. Let me just buzz through, and I'll just get to this is the basement underground level. And you'll see in the rendering, there's a slight cantilever here. And then there's a walkout for the basement. There's, as you can see, a single guest bedroom down there, and then there's laundry and mudroom. And then the first floor, which is now really at a higher grade, is approached, as I said, through that gradient, living room, dining room, and again, quite a bit of effort to have the open expanse on the rear of the lot in all cases. So you'll see in the renderings, we've been sensitive about the percentage of glass on the Cuffey and Milton side. And here we have a somewhat private under cantilever private space here. Second floor, again, as you can see by the scale of the windows, thoughtful to try to reduce open space, light, and general expanse to the public, and open to the rear. And on this side, on the Milton side, we've actually kept the entire facade without window. So, you know, our client is not just a longtime resident, but she's I found a very thoughtful and considerate person who considers, you know, what I think is, I think of Azarest as a very special community, and I know that she does as well. So here are elevations. I'll jump to the renderings next. So now we're on the Milton side, and we're essentially looking at how the grade in section is dropping from a higher level, and again, heavily landscaped by the Martyrs group. And here is the pool equipment condensers all screened in and not seen visible by the public. And then this is a porch. And then again, reduced glass, other than the stair tower, which we wanted to bring a little bit of architectural scale. And then again, reduced glass on the Cuffey side. Here again, Milton having no glass on the second floor. This is the Cuffey side, and again, just the stair tower. Very small amount of glass and scale on that side. And then here we have the open side, which is the backyard, really. We have a few sliders and windows to the neighbor, but again, heavily screened. And this is the essentially lower level garage, which has no glass. And even though we wanted to have this porch, we did consider with the rain screen privacy to the public realm, and opening really more to the pool area, less to the street side in that area. These are just showing conformance with the pyramid law. And then let me jump into the renderings. So again, now we're in the Milton most open scale. We're inside the lot. So we're inside of the screening of the new potential trees. And we've been thoughtful to try to select, and Martyrs is all about this. We use them a lot. And essentially, Charlie's very sensitive about indigenous plantings and keeping within the vernacular of plantings within the realm of the project. So we've incorporated grasses and shrubs and trees. We've added to the count of the overall planting, but also in the indigenous plantings.
We did see this. Can we see the updated landscape plan?
Yeah.
Sure.
We went through this the last
Right.
meeting.
So again, screening on the neighbors on both sides, screening on Cuffey and Milton. And I think a thoughtful sensibility of vernacular plantings pretty much wherever we're able. There's only a small area of lawn in the project.
So on the back side of the pool, what are these plants? Are they labeled?
Yes, we have a full scale here. Let me just give you a sense of some of them. And this is of course going to be, this was in your plans as well. We have dogwoods, spruces, oaks, white pines, bayberry.
But on the back side of the pool, I can't see what it does.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let me.
Mostly
I'm just
hydrangea
trying to
and
read the.
trees in the
What
back.
are those plants? They're
Hydrangea.
So these here.
Yeah. What are all of those plants?
Yeah, they're all labeled here on the right. So I kind of have to jump back and forth, but
I don't see how they're labeled on the symbols themselves are labeled.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I know from my meetings with Charlie, but these are all labeled on the public side, and
I think
somehow
the owner, I think Sweet knows.
The
what it
mixture, it's a mixture of Norway and Oriental spruce, and then the small things, the small ones that you see are hydrangea.
Okay, let's discuss the architecture, and we'll have to revisit the landscape. So Val, the architecture. How do you feel about this house nestled on this property?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, this application points to what we were saying before, is we look at modern architecture on a case-by-case basis. And I think although this is far from the historic district, I find that the house is very organic. It's been nicely integrated into this site where it's a very subtle use of modern architecture. And I think, as Mr. Martin pointed out, he's very careful with the use of glass. And I think that this demonstrates a good example in terms of modern architecture where it's not wall-to-wall glass. He's been very sensitive to neighboring properties and also the use of material. So to all those points, I find it a positive application.
Yeah, I think how we left it last time. I think Mr. Martin, we're all super impressed with this application, except for the detailing of the landscaping wasn't. We really wanted that fleshed out for this meeting. It is a small space, but I think it was rounding. There was no one on the board that wasn't really impressed with this with the architecture on this site. We just wanted
I appreciate your
out.
kind words. I appreciate that.
But it was what's very important that you saved all these existing trees, but we really need that documented on how your second story windows and how that pool area and how that view shed, if you will, is mitigated from neighboring properties. So I'm going to just go through the rest of the board. We did this before. I think there was a tier in the audience, but Mr. Williams, architecture.
This house is 3 lots from my house. I'd be happy to have it as an addition to the neighborhood. Based on architecture, it clearly is a deviation from what's in the neighborhood now, but it's not the only one, and it's part of a trend that we have more houses with, kind of the sleek look, and some of them with less glass, but it's an evolving architectural style, and I really do like the way it's integrated into the slope of the land, the existing.
Yeah, I really do think it's a piece of art, but there's that other component that's super important. Bethany.
I think the design is wonderful.
Judith.
I agree with everything everyone has said. I think it's wonderful. We all loved it when we saw it before. And so as long as we can get what our chairman is asking for, which is a confirmation about the landscaping and the privacy, but I love the way it fits into the hillside.
Bob Adams.
I thought it was very good. Architectural. The main thing is we did a good job on doing all the shrubbery and everything around there, landscaping.
And did I forget anybody? I think that's everything. So Mr. Martin, we could go for a vote on the architecture and take out the site work and I just don't know how we do that, and the pool and the landscaping. So I don't know where.
Mr. Chairman, can you just help me understand the question on the landscaping? We can provide.
It's insufficient. So we really need to know. It looks like there's a very beautiful design there, but it's not fleshed out. We can't discern what the different plants are and what they're doing. You have second-story windows, you have a pool area, and then you have a wire fence, I guess. And it looks like it's thought out. It's just that information is not documented on the plan that we need. The fact that you're doing everything right, you're saving a ton of trees, but we really need to know that, that visual access of that pool area, that high activity area is taken care of, and some of those windows are mitigated between, property owners. You're there, you're 90% there. It's just that last step. So I guess the question to you is, I don't know what your schedule is, but we could probably vote on the architecture. And,
yeah, that would be appreciated if we could vote on
chop out the pool and the landscaping.
Yeah, and we'll come back for the landscaping piece.
The board, do you agree with that that decision?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so do I have a motion just to approve the architecture at 65 Milton?
So moved.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Well, thank you very much, board. I really appreciate all of your time and efforts. I know it's been a difficult road, and I applaud you for your effort. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
62 Main Street.
Yes, hi, I'm Gary Shank, LT Burger manager.
Are you at the restaurant?
I am.
Fantastic. Tell us about your project, please, sir.
We are proposing to do, we have an existing 3-foot awning to move it to a 6-foot awning. And that's the picture of it, upside down.
It's upside down. I'm getting it. Hold on.
It's getting there. It's turning. There you go. So to do that awning right there. The only thing that's not in the picture, but that is on the plans, would be right at the front, the lip would be the names.
Board members, any issues?
I do.
Mr. Williams, go ahead.
What's going to be the clearance of the bottom of the awning to the sidewalk? How many feet? What height?
It would be, it would not change that from what it is now, because it would go out at a different angle. My guess it's about 8 feet, but I never measured it.
I'm seeing if it says it on here.
Yeah, I would just like an answer to that.
Projected out 6 feet.
Yeah, but check that. So, it stays the same length because it's going to go out height that it is now.
So what we could do is we could get a measurement on that height that's there now, and you would have to adhere to that.
It's pretty high.
As that's what that graphic is showing.
Mhm.
Does that work, Steve?
Yeah, my concern goes back to the same thing for the pizzeria. You know that our sidewalks are going to become more and more crowded, and I'm just concerned that we can still have a good foot traffic there. I happen to be 6'6", and I see heights differently than other people. So if it's not 7 feet or more, then I think it will impose. I'm not the only 6 foot or plus. It could impose on foot traffic. So those are my concerns. The single issue.
I would say it's our next door neighbors on both sides both have 6 foot, so it wouldn't be any different than the ones that are existing there now.
Right, I just asked you about clearance. That's all I asked you about.
No, I know. I'm saying that it would be the same height as theirs. Again, like I would have to find that out for sure. But when we talked about it with the awning guy, he told me it would protrude out further because it's just the way it would sit, but it would be.
Elizabeth,
everything would be the same.
Is there a code requirement, a safety requirement for the height of that awning? The clearance.
Are you asking me that question?
No, our lawyer.
I'll have
That's fine.
Not off the top of my head, but I can check in the code and see.
Okay.
It will have to comply with it regardless.
Of course.
It's not like you can't, this board doesn't have the power to vary the code. So, but I can double check.
Thank you.
It's pretty high. I'm looking at it right now.
It's at least 8 foot. I'm 6 foot, so I know it's.
So can we second call you? Can you go out there and measure that thing, or else we're gonna be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, give me one. Yeah, go right ahead.
So we'll second call him. Is that okay?
I'll mute.
Carrie?
Yes.
All right. How convenient. 286 Division Street.
There's actually a tall guy out there standing, and it's pretty high above his head.
286 Division Street, please.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. Carrie, my name is Ricardo Romo Leroux. I am the architect working on the design for 268 Division.
Ricardo, are you going to share your screen?
Yes, I will.
Oh, thank you.
So I was here 2 weeks ago for a discussion item. Should I give a refresher of the project to everybody, or should I go directly to address the comments from the discussion item?
Well, in the interest of time, if you could refresh the elevations of this of this project, and then I can hit the site. There are a couple of things that are really stand out that are kind of big about the site, and then I guess go from there.
So the elevations are here. You see my screen, no?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the south elevation, which is the elevation facing Grand Street, it's this one over here, which even though the address is 268 Division, we would like to change the main entry to Grand. And that being because on the Division side, we have the high school across the street. Also, we're pushing the house towards the west side so that we keep, let's say, a vast expanse of the lot, so that the house is away from the high school. And then we will have on the left side of the house, we will have the driveway which slopes down, and I can go back to the survey in a bit to explain how the topography goes. On the opposite side, the north side, we will have Grand Street on
the back side, and so this is the side that basically only the neighbors may see. So because of the topography of the site, on this side we have the house, the basement exposed. So the house is partially, the basement is basically hidden on two sides, and then on two sides it sticks out. And then we have the garden level up here with some retaining walls. This will be the front. It's an L-shaped house, so this will be one side of the L, and this is way farther back. On the garden side, which is the east side, or basically what you would see from Division Street down here, the house, we have one side of the L is this side, and then the other one, which is farther back, would be this. And then the basement, the exposure of the basement that we saw on the previous elevation is this side over here. And this will be the side that you have more concerns on the last time, and that was the west side, which is the driveway side, and where we are exposing the basement, and the house may look too big, even though we're meeting all the pyramid laws and grading side, but I understand your concerns. And I have prepared some supporting documents to show how we're planning to hide it, or how this elevation won't be that visible from the street. And one will be by doing, obviously, like evergreens hedging on this side, so that we block the view from the neighbors. And then I also have prepared some renderings here, which I did not have a chance to submit this on time, but it's just, I can submit it later, but it's basically, this will be the house. As you can see, it's almost like a collage. It's not attempting to be realistic, but the volume of the house, this was done on SketchUp. So basically, on the elevation of the house, going back to this, we have the stepping back of the roof line. So when we see at the house on perspective, this roof goes down along the way, and then we have this volume that encroaches into the facade, and that actually breaks the view from seeing the rest of the house. So, then we also have the retaining wall here, which is blocking some of it, and then behind the driveway, we're planning to do an evergreen hedge with arborvitae to also block the scene. So this is kind of what we've done to just hide that basement from public view. Let's put it that way.
Can we go back to that previous sheet where you're showing, I guess relative volumes? Do you have? We asked yes.
Yeah.
The other square footages in the nearby area.
Yeah, one of the things that you asked me at the discussion was to map out house in the immediate vicinity. That will be large homes, or I guess also houses that their GFA is either over or maxed out. So I mapped some, the ones that we could find online, and also we took, these pictures are taken by ourselves. So we have a few in Harrison Street, 12 Harrison, 26 Harrison. For example, 12 Harrison is at 0.33 acre, and the house is 4,500 square feet. This house is a larger lot. 26 Harrison is a larger lot than ours, where it's 0.70 acres, but it's a 4,000 square foot home. If we go to Madison, 268 Madison, it's a 1 acre lot. It's a 5,000 square foot home. 274 Division, which is not the direct neighbor, but it's one property away. It shows online as being 4,000 square feet on a 0.34 acre lot. And then we have some also on Harrison on the other side that are, this one shows 4,700 square feet on a third of an acre lot. This one is smaller, 3,000, but on a third of an acre. So it's a smaller lot than ours. And the one on 56 Grant is a 4,000 square foot home on also a third of an acre. Our lot is half an acre. And what we're proposing is to be, we are under lot coverage, we are under building coverage, but we are maxed out on GFA. So the GFA allows 3,890 square feet, and we are at that. We are exactly at that number.
Okay, so I'd like to get some comments from the board regarding your architecture. So if we could just scroll through, I guess, some of the elevations, and we can get some quick comments from the board. Bethany Dearman, how do you feel about the volume of the structure on this site and the architectural design?
I feel that it's too big for the lot. I mean, it could work, it could fit in, I mean, I'm sure, but that's my feeling about it. The massing of it is too much.
Okay, Judith?
I agree with Bethany that it's on Division, where many of the houses up and down Division Street are modest, that this is just, it's very large. Now, they have managed to do it in such a way that it seems, from the renderings anyway, that it doesn't look quite so massive as it sounds, but 4,000 plus square feet is just, it's, you know, we have a village of little houses. This is not a little house.
Steve Williams?
I agree with everything that everybody said, and I really should have revisited the site. Given that the fact that it's close to the school, across the street to the school, there's another structure there that's massive. So I'm just trying to think, about whether this can get a waiver, so to speak, because of what it's located close to.
Bob Adams?
He said it's 3,800 square feet. I think it would be okay in that location.
Val Florio?
So I think the scale of the house, the applicant's done a good job in demonstrating a comparable size. It's under 4,000 square feet, and not to disrespect fellow board members in terms of their perception, but if you look at this property, the house is really following the contour of the grade in the backyard. So as it presents itself to the road, it reads as a smaller house. It's really as it's sort of, going downhill where you're picking up the extra square footage. So I feel that my comment is not so much about the size of the house. It's really about a little bit about the architecture. And the one thing which I feel is missing is this roadside as it presents itself to the street. I don't know why it doesn't have glass in between that sort of portico and the gable, but I feel like that would complement the house somehow. It looks a little bit too stark. But other than that, I feel that the scale, the massing feels correct.
Okay, so as far as the massing and how this applicant is working with the grades and how this house is integrated into the grade I think is refreshing to see someone working with the site and the architecture. Some of these details maybe could be fleshed out for the public hearing, so we know exactly, what the eave details and all this stuff is in the application instructions, how the window treatments are handled, the doors. But the big issue for me is how the site's being being treated. I'm thankful that you've taken into consideration the existing trees and saving them. But just to wrap the property with large evergreens, it's not really, breaking up this massive green wall that you are proposing. And the Leland cypress is, they really do not do well here, especially in the winter, and planting them in the deep shade on the, I guess, the west side. The pool you have in the front yard, you have 2 front yards, unfortunately for you, but that needs to be resolved. Some of those retaining walls are 6 feet tall. So how are you handling, I guess, safety? Will they be fencing?
We would do fencing on top of the retaining wall.
That's stuff that we really want to see.
And from here, basically, this starts at 0, and on this corner, it ends at close to 6, and then it wraps around.
Yeah, so how does that work? So we would need to see that, and how, aesthetically you're handling that. That fence could be a pipe rail for all we know. But, back to the 2 front yards that you have plantings right on the property line, which need to respect the 3-foot offset. You have a 6-foot fence in the front yard, which has to be 4 feet. So in the planting really you need a plant list to say, to tell us what the heights and the spacing and, really, flesh out how this is going to be screened, especially, I guess you would say, from that west side.
Plan, which you have the ARB, the board has a hard copy. I am mentioning widths and spacing of the types of plantings, diameters.
Yeah, you need a plant list. There's some places that are not calling out all the plants.
Okay.
And there are not too many plants on this site. I mean, you have some circles, but I mean, effectively you're trying to screen the property and that's it. But there are issues with these walls and safety. Some people use plants to help with mitigating some of those railings you'll need on this 6-foot wall. But again, the pool you're going to need a variance for, and then you have the 6-foot fence in the front yards, which is problematic. So I'd like to know how you're going to handle that. The volume of the house I don't have a problem with. In fleshing out the details, the aesthetics of this house a little more would be very helpful to me. And then again, we've run into situations where, drainage has been an issue for a neighbor. All that, you have an asphalt apron, then you have cobblestones, then you have gravel. Do you have a dry well or something in there? I think it would be helpful for, the in-house people reviewing this. And we know that this is not going to come back with, neighbors screaming because someone's getting washed out.
Dean, is the house that's there, has it already been demolished?
No.
Is there, do we have any pictures of the house?
Yes. This is
Oh,
existing
okay.
house.
I
It's
got
a-
you now.
It's a split level.
Yep, I
according-
remember. Now I
You know it
got you.
well.
I got you.
Yeah. By the way, this is in the historic district. Just want to remind you all.
Yeah.
Yes.
The property is in the
It's a
historic district.
non-contributing structure, but it is in the historic district.
Correct. And it's
Structure
just,
is not,
it's 2 doors up from the house at Marsden that we've had so much discussion over, the Victorian house at the corner at Marsden. So there's a context, there's a streetscape
right.
coming up opposite the school, which is a contributing factor here, I think, in how this house presents to the street.
But this
Also,
house is not, this house
did
is
some
not
mapping.
considered historic, correct? At all?
No, I'm only saying in the context of infill, with new construction in the historic
Right.
district,
Right.
the neighborhood context, and you have a surviving house 2 doors down going toward the village, which is at the corner of Marsden, which is a Victorian house. So there's the context.
So going forward, we need details of this house and has aesthetically how it works. I don't have a problem with the volume. I think it works with some of the area houses, except the one directly across the street. But, like Zach was saying about the streetscape, you see a lot of hedging and some, existing trees that tower and break up opposed to doing like a solid green wall all over the place. And in camping, your house, you're kind of disconnecting yourself from, as Zach pointed out, the treescape that's really important. I think, to going forward, the next public hearing is May 27th. So I'd like to get this working. I think you really need to take a look at the landscape, the drainage, how that's going to work, how to break up these massive green walls, how the safety and how the plantings could help mitigate the railings you're going to need all over the place. And then the major issue is like these 6-foot fences that you have in your front yards, that you have to rethink that. And then you have a swimming pool in the front yard. So I don't know what that does to your program. You're going to have to go to zoning and get that resolved. So my question to you is, applicant, I think you got a lot of work to do, but you have a lot of time. You've had some favorable comments tonight, so we could make a vote to put you on for a public hearing on May 27th. And you take our comments from there, and you may get more comments from the public and us at this later date, but how do you
Yes, I
feel?
would like to be on that public hearing if possible.
Okay, so with the comments that have been made, I propose to set the public hearing for what is this address?
May 27th, I think.
What is the address?
May 27th, what?
No.
286 Division.
6.
286 Division
Division.
Street for May 27th, public hearing. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Dean and Val.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dean, I have the awning measurement,
Okay, what is that?
7 feet from the pavement,
7,
7 feet.
like from the road?
I'll
On the
read it.
sidewalk.
Yeah, from the sidewalk. It says, the lowest point of which shall be at least 7 feet above the sidewalk or ground elevation at the base of the wall on which it is mounted.
Okay.
For an awning.
And it doesn't say anything about how far it can come out over the main, over, on Main Street?
Says. No.
Okay, so Steve, we this thing is gonna be, you'll be able to walk under this. Can we
Thank you.
can we make a vote? We go for a vote on
Was that just the code, Liz, or was that the actual?
Code. That's just the code. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm just
I'm
reading the
sorry.
code.
Okay.
I'm not reading the application. It says it
Okay.
shall not exceed a depth of 10 inches. Bethany, if that answers your question.
Okay.
Okay, so we still
I'm
need to
here.
wait for that.
10 inches.
10 inches, what?
We still need that dimension.
I
Okay,
think he's got it. He just was saying he's here.
Yeah, I have it. I'm sorry.
what's your dimension?
It is now currently 7 foot 4 inches.
Steve, how do you feel about 7 foot 4 inches?
That's even better, as long as he's gonna meet the code, as Elizabeth has instructed me. That's fine.
I'll raise it for you anytime you want to come in.
Thank you.
Okay, can someone help me please and tell me what number that was?
62 Main Street.
62 Main Street. Do I
Number
have,
6. Number 6.
do I have a motion to approve 62 Main Street with a 7 foot 4 inch clearance from the bottom of the awning to the sidewalk?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
So
Opposed?
Judith and Steve.
Okay, great.
All right, thank you.
Have a good
very
night.
Thank you.
69A Main Street.
Yes, hi. This is Gwen Waddington. I am the president of the Old Whalers Condo, and we are at 69A Main Street. Actually, 69 Main Street. Kimberly Eads is also on the call. She's the vice president, and she'll be the general contractor. She's also one of the owners in the building. We are the workshop. We would like to do some much needed maintenance on the front of our building. The trim needs to be replaced in kind and to be painted. And I think Carrie has the visuals
So-
on that. And
So I'd like to speak to this a little bit. We had our historic expert out there, and some of us have taken a look at this. So it's not just a scrape and paint and fix kind of thing. It really needs some sort of a resolution to go for. You have those Yankee gutters on there. There are some. This needs to be documented, and we're going to have to go with the Secretary of Interior's rehabilitation of this. So this is not a simple picture, and we're going to make it die and just have at it. So we really need to have a site visit with our historian and your contractor and come up with some sort of meeting of the minds on how to go forward in restoring this wonderful old building. And to that, I will let Zach speak to some of the initial findings he found.
Sure. Well, very briefly, I mean, the building's been, updated and re-sided with aluminum siding. All those sashes have been replaced. I don't believe that's part of this application, but I'm confused by the word fascia, which has no application to what we're looking at. If we're looking at technically, so we need to know what we're dealing with. If we're looking at the eaves of this projecting roof, all of which clearly needs some paint work, etc., that's fine. You have returning, I don't have a cursor, but you have at the foot of the roof line a returning eave detail, which is very characteristic. This is 1870s, maybe 80s period building. That's all in wood, and I assume that if we're looking to the other side, to the right, I have to get my people out of the view, it's quite deteriorated there. So there's clearly wood rot and repairs to be made, but this is of the original structure. And so that needs to be well documented, and the plans for actually how that's going to be undertaken need to be presented in adequate detail.
So we're going to have a site visit over there and possibly some architectural details and somehow to document the grandiose detailing going on with this building.
Right.
So that's really important to us. So if you don't mind, we could set up something with Carrie and really take a look at this building.
Yeah, no, we would appreciate that to get it going as quickly as possible, because of course, I think it needs to be done. And Kimberly Eads would be the person to get in touch with. She's on this call as well.
That's awesome. So we'll make that happen right away.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes,
yeah,
indeed.
Hi.
Oh, yes.
Hi, Kimberly Eads here. Hi. So yeah, we definitely want to stick with the historic nature of this building, and we want to do it in the proper way. So
sure.
I'd be happy to meet with you as soon as possible.
Okay.
We'll set that up with Carrie.
We will do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Looking forward to that. Thank you.
I make a motion to table 69 Main Street. Is there a second?
Second.
That's Judith.
Judith.
I made the motion. All in
Thank
favor?
you.
Aye. Opposed? 15 Lincoln Street, please.
Hello.
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 Say
Good
your
evening,
name, please.
everyone.
Hi,
Hello?
Hans. Hi, we can
Hi,
hear
hi.
you.
Okay, great. This is Hans Berthmew. I'm the property owner at 15 Lincoln Street. For the last meeting held 2 weeks ago, there was a request to present additional information for the siding and garage door installations. For the siding, I provided additional color photos plus a sample of the material. For the double car garage door replacement, I provided also additional color pictures plus a brochure from the manufacturer. Basically, replacing siding materials that are, somewhat old, and we're looking at vertical plywood and vinyl that were not in serviceable condition, and I'm replacing that with hardy plank cement siding. And I provide a copy or sample of that material. Additionally, the siding that is being replaced showed evidence of cracking, fading, peeling, and rotting. For the prior meeting, I had submitted pictures to show a buildup of insect infestation underneath the siding that appeared in several areas around the perimeter.
Okay, we got that. So I drove by today, so that there's texture 111 on there. That's pretty old and it needs to be resided. So the question is to the board, if they're okay with the hardy plank, which is a concrete product, and the color and your garage door. So Steve Williams, do you have any comments? Steve?
Sorry, yes, I think he should be, I'm supportive of his plan.
Judith?
Seems fine. The agenda says something about a front entry, but I don't.
Yes.
I don't see a
Yes,
front
I'm gonna
entry.
table that. Yes, thank you. I'm gonna table that for another meeting because my wife and I have not decided on what that should look like. So we'd rather position that downstream versus taking it up today.
Oh.
Val
Okay.
Florio?
It looks fine. Looks good.
Bethany?
Yes, go forward.
Okay, great. And Bob Adams?
It looks good to me.
Okay, so I make the motion to approve 15 Lincoln Street, excluding the front entry.
I'll second.
That's Val. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
7 Main Street, please.
Hi, this is Jean Galante from Land Planning.
Great. Tell us about your project.
It is to put 2 new doors, well, legalize 1 door, install a 2nd door of the exterior, paint the facade, and put 2 planters out front.
Okay, I guess
You
we're
should
waiting
have
a graphic.
You should have a copy of the planter. They're cordon steel planters, 2 of them. The color that it's going to be painted is Benjamin Moore Twilight Zone, which hopefully you have a chip of or a picture of the chip as well. And you probably see the view of the subject property and the proposed facade.
Okay, quick comments.
Yes.
Steve Williams.
Are you saying that this is a rendering with coffee and donuts? I just think the lettering's a little large.
They have big ones now.
Yeah, this is it now.
Okay,
That's the existing.
right.
What you're looking at now, that one is the proposed.
Yeah, just the coffee and donuts, it just kind of glares out at you, but that's my only comment.
Val Florio.
Can I just want to study this a little bit further so I can comment properly.
Judith.
So it was white and now it's going to be dark gray.
A deep gray, yes. It's Twilight
Okay.
Zone.
Okay, so it's going from white to dark.
Yes.
But I think it looks fine.
Bob Adams.
I think it looks fine, but the planters, what are they made out of?
Those are cordon steel, welded steel planters.
Okay,
They look like they're 2 different colors.
yeah.
That's just the rendering.
Wolfer
Yeah,
has
I think
something
that
like
is
that.
just the rendering. They're it's raw cordon steel finish that will develop the rich rust patina over time.
That's fine.
The old Wolfer restaurant has something like that. Sagtown has a detail like that.
Yeah.
And
Did
somebody else.
did you mention before that the doors also, something about the doors?
The door on the left is existing. That's to be legalized, and the door on the right is being replaced.
Okay. Is the door exactly the same as what's there now?
Yes, it is. It's there. You should have the quote also. They are Reeb smooth star doors.
Yeah, let me see what it looks. Whoops. Even if I look at the regular picture, one down, come
There.
down more. Nope, the other way, sorry. Right there. I can't really tell.
Yeah, unfortunately, in the existing, this is the Google shot, and the door's open.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So it's white now and you're going to paint it. It looks more black than gray. Is it?
I wouldn't call it gray as much as if
Yeah.
you wanted, if it was in the gray family, it's an extremely deep gray.
Yeah, it's more of a midnight black to me, or black, midnight gray. All right.
So Val, I'm not too sure about the I'm not too sure about this color. But anyway, Val, what are your comments?
I'm warming up to the thought, but I'm still, I don't know. I'd rather see more on the gray side than a black.
Yeah, me.
It
Yeah,
looks
I
pretty
feel that
harsh.
way. I feel that way also.
Yeah, it's kind of dark.
The awnings, the doors, and everything kind of blends into like one big blob. It'd be nice for some definition. I think that's what we're looking for.
Okay, because the awnings are currently the dark color. You can kind of see that.
Can't really discern all the things that are going on with the architecture here. It'd be great with some, I think, something in there gray.
It's just it's too bold a statement for me. I think if it were like a tone of gray that's a little bit more, like an iron color. I'm not sure if you have another sample, but it's just coming across as just too stark.
I think like a stone color, see, rhinestone.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Applicant, can you try, this is an important building on Main Street, and
yeah,
I think it'd be great, maybe, to Steve's point, maybe you could take a look at the lettering on the donuts, and maybe if you could really supply us with how the colors are working between all the elements that you wish to paint.
Okay, so let me just recap this. The color, while in the grayish family, you'd like to see it a little bit of a lighter tone so that there's more definition between the dark windows and the awning, and then the facade.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was the other comment? I'm sorry, about the lettering.
Yeah, just entertain it. I'm not sure if everyone's going to vote against the size of the letters. Maybe they are. I'm not sure. But if you could just take another look at the size of the donuts.
Are they
lettering in the window?
Is the size changing at all?
I don't believe it was supposed to. I think they might have just written that on there, because I'm just holding the two different pictures up, and there does appear to be a little bit of a difference. I will double check that. I was not aware that the lettering was going to be changed at all, but it does look different in the picture.
I don't think it says it.
I would have written that if I was aware of it. But I will check that.
Just so that you understand, we had an applicant for new signage about 4 months ago. I think they've withdrawn their application for other reasons, but there is a potential, that you're going to be the second shop that people see in Sag Harbor now, and so from that side of the village. So it's kind of we don't want to necessarily hit people between the eyes. You're going to get the attention. You're going to get so maybe if we could do something a little more understated, I guess is what I'm saying, in closer to the context of the village throughout. If you look at the other awnings and the other things, I don't see any lettering the size that is indicated by the rendering.
Or you just keep the ones that you have and just leave that alone.
I'll double check that, because if you do kind of look at the existing and then the proposed, although the grindstone appears to be much larger, there's not much difference in the room above and below it. So I'll double check that on the size of the lettering.
Thank you very much. I think it looks great. Just these little changes, I think, will make a world of difference.
All right, we'll talk about the color and revisit that.
Great. I make a motion to table 7 Main Street. Is there a second?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, I'll be the second then. So Bethany made the motion. I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
41 Glover Street, please. 41 Glover. They want to move some AC units.
Good evening, members of the board. Brian DeSessa, 2462 Main Street, Suite 7, Bridgehampton, New York, attorney for the applicant. The hour is late, so I'll keep my comments short. We're looking to do 2 things, and I will screen share to show you briefly on them. This project, the board has seen and approved. we're looking to do two things. One, we're looking to locate 2 AC units here. This is Glover Street. This is the original front building, so it's tucked behind that and against the building. It meets setbacks, but we need for site plan approval. Well, not site plan approval, but approval since it's part of the design. Everything else remains the same. And the second thing that we're proposing to do is switch from Anderson A-series windows, which were approved at the last meeting, to now have the brand be LePage windows, which are more in keeping with the vernacular of that street. Sizes, spacings, everything else remains the same. So for consistency, those are the two changes we're asking the board to approve.
Zach, comments?
Well, that catches me flat-footed. I saw AC units. I didn't see windows.
There's no windows on.
So
Right.
now I've got to go take a look, and then we get into the context. I mean, what's next door? What's across the street? Those are 2/2s?
No, the windows are the same as what was previously approved. It's just a brand. And we were told by the building department, if we're changing the brand, we needed to come back here. So the type of windows, everything else is remaining the same.
Okay.
The windows that we're proposing of LePage are part of the addition.
All right, just checking. This is not a contributing building,
Okay, so here we go.
I believe.
I think the front part is.
The front part is, Zach.
The front
The
is,
front part is,
yes.
because I'm scrambling, because all I saw were AC units.
That's all
Brian,
it
are
says.
the windows the same material as the Anderson?
They're wood painted, but they're
wood,
they're a nicer window. So the Gambrell house to the north, which is 2 houses over, have LePage windows. These would be the same LePage windows in the addition.
For the record, these windows are exactly the same. It's just a different brand.
That is correct.
That's
Val, do you have
important.
comment?
Okay, sounds good.
Val Florio, comments?
I'm not gonna name brand names, but, and endorse the product. But the product which the applicant is presenting is a very high quality window and something that would be deemed much more historically appropriate than an Anderson window.
Okay.
Robert Adams? How do you,
I go right along with Val.
Judith?
Okay, there we go.
Yep. Yep.
Sounds good.
Fine by me.
Me too.
Steve?
I'll make-
Okay, good. Bethany?
By me.
I would, has everybody gone?
Yes.
I agree, and I'm glad to hear from Val about these windows. And I'd like to make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second. Oh, Mr. Adams, second.
Okay. We have a full board though.
Okay, go ahead.
I need
All
a
right, I'll
second.
second.
Okay.
Judith.
So it's Bethany, Judith, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
40 Lincoln Street.
Brian DeSessa, 2462 Main Street, Suite 7, Bridgehampton, New York, attorney for the applicant. We were here a couple months ago and received comments back from the board and the building department. We resubmitted, we revised the survey, we revised the landscape plan, we revised elevations, and we did a rendering. So I will screen share. This is Lincoln Street, the front of the single-family residence that we're proposing here with a pool house and screening. This is it on, sorry. Wrong one. I have the revised elevations. I'm looking for the landscape plan. We were to clarify the types, heights, spacings on center of what we were looking to do. You've seen the project before a few times. It's a single-family home. I can pull up what we've had rendered. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So wooden glass, cedar roof with some standing seam roof.
We're not looking at the elevations of the house though, but since we're on the landscape plan,
Yes.
really need to see the grades fleshed out and like the finished floor, finished elevation of the pool, how that's working out, and hopefully this completely wooded site has some trees that you are going to maintain, and that should be documented somewhere.
Excuse me, this is Scott Accardo. I'm the designer on the project. Good evening. At the last hearing that we spoke, the discussion, you wanted to keep the front of the house natural. So the landscaper, I had sent him out there to do a complete tree map, and he said, no, they only want to see the front trees, which are, if you see the survey that the Twin Forks surveyors did, that clearly identifies all the existing limits of clearing in the front of the property. And it also shows the grades that you're asking for. The rendering of the landscape plan is simply a rendering of the trees and layout, but all the details, the elevations and the grades are shown on the
I don't
site
see,
plan by
we were
Twin
just
Forks.
looking at it. I don't see it, and I would really like to
Can you
see,
bring up that?
I'd really like to see.
I'm bringing it up. I'm bringing it up. 1 second.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
The existing trees, not just in the front.
Well,
the existing trees that you plan to,
the only existing trees we plan to keep are in the front of the house. It's a very narrow lot. And at our last meeting, you expressed the need to really landscape out the neighbors because it's a 2-story house. So we planted the second portion of the property, the rear portion, with very, very tall trees so that we could give total screening from the neighbors to the backyard of the property. You notice the rear lot line is actually New York State. So you said that that wasn't necessary. So the only trees we are keeping are in the front.
I don't know. We'll have to get the tape. That's something I definitely wouldn't say. This site is completely wooded, and I don't see the finished grade for the swimming pool. And I would like to see what trees that are being maintained.
Individually?
Well, you could bubble out, like, you know, but if there are only 4 trees in the front, we should see which ones they are. And if there's a large section on the side, but you're regrading the whole entire site, and you have the water going on to someone else's property, and I don't see elevations.
Are you looking at the Twin Forks map? It has all the elevations. It has the trees that are staying in the front, the proposed limits of clearing. We have drainage on both sides of the property and the rear of the pool house. So I'm not really sure what we're missing.
Missing the trees, and what is the grade of the swimming pool?
Just the top of the elevation of the swimming pool?
Yeah.
The same as the proposed pool house. Well, the grade, you can see it's changing throughout. We regraded around the pool. It's a very difficult lot. It slopes 12 feet, 14 feet front to back and 12 feet left to right. So it was very difficult. They stepped the house down with the terrain to help mitigate the height of the house. We did a lot of work to try to keep the natural slope and work with it with the pyramid law. It was it was not an easy thing to do. And I think we've answered, except for the pool grade, which I gotta see closer. There's a ton of elevation grades on here.
For me personally, you gotta take another look at this, because for me, it looks like this whole site has been like clear cut and regraded. It goes up on, there's, it's like a bull in a china shop on this site.
Well, I don't know what we're supposed to do with a 75-foot wide lot and to get any kind of house on it. We're not overbuilding a lot. It's a 3,600 square foot house.
You can see other people have worked the house, the architecture into the grades.
But I have done that.
Can we talk about?
Listen, I'm going to be clear. I'm going to go through my other members here. But what is happening is this site is being clear cut, and it's being completely regraded to fit whatever program that has swimming pool house, patio, pool house, and massive driveway. So that's what we have. I think for me, there's not an integration of the house into the grades. And there should be some spot elevations all over the place. And the way this is graded, there's not an existing tree that could survive. Let's go through the board members. Bethany.
Based on what I'm looking at right now, I would agree with you, Dean. There's no other trees showing except for the 4 there and they're near the driveway, more near the driveway and the side of the house. Then you can't really say the front, because the front is the driveway pretty much. So of the house anyway, I would agree with you.
Steve Williams.
I don't understand this gentleman's resistance to what you're asking. I will say that one of the best presenters I've ever seen in front of this board is Brian DeSessa. Maybe he should use his talent. the point here is that it's in a delicate piece of property. Behind it is state-owned wetlands, or as a neighbor had a different name for it. They're very concerned about a lot of details on this house. And even in terms of the driveway, they were telling me about the fact that another property had installed a concrete curve cuts for the driveway that ended up being a tripping hazard, as well as compromised that neighborhood because they own those roads. And they're very concerned about how people cut into them and enter those roads, the asphalt I'm talking about. So there's a lot here, and you know, we're sitting volunteers. We're trying to work to maintain the beauty of our village, and I think that you might want to be a little more gentle in your resistance to what we're suggesting for your benefit. That's my comment.
Bob Adams?
I think that Steve has put it perfectly for me.
Judith?
Maybe this person could go over and look at that proposed house on Milton that we all like so much, because that house seemed to be able to use the hill to great advantage, and we all liked it so much. And if this house could follow that sort of idea, it would be very helpful.
Val Florio?
Well, I took a drive, and I'll say this, with any construction, you have to do a certain amount of clearing. And I think to that end, you have to propose a certain amount of screening. So I think it would be important. There's definitely precedent set with other projects in this neighborhood. For example, on Hillside Drive, on Wilson Place, you know, there are some large houses with swimming pools. And I think those are good illustrations of how you can clear what you need to clear, but at the same time, how you can put back screening so you haven't decimated the property in terms of clear cutting the lot.
So I just think,
can we talk about the architecture? I understand we're going to work on the site plan in terms of the grading, but in terms of architecture, if we could separate the applications out, if there's not comments on the house, but how the house fits into the landscape, we can then come back and address that.
Let's go.
Okay.
Architecture, please.
So the architecture, can you see that the elevations?
We can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So elevations, it's compliant with all dimensional regulations for the village, both in lot coverage, building coverage, and setback coverages. It proposes an IA system. It's a shingled house, partially shingled roof, stone chimney rather, and standing seam accent roofs. This is the west elevation, which would be the view from facing the street. So if you're standing in the street, this is the view you would see looking toward the house with the front door. I was going to take one elevation at a time and ask, if there's any comments, and then proceed if that is amenable to the board.
Any comments on this elevation, people?
I don't.
No, I think it's fine.
Can I go for Val?
So just the only question, Brian.
Yes.
I'm having a depth perception issue here. The stockade fence is set back past the 35-foot requirement, or how are those two things blending?
Yeah, so this is not at the front plane of the house. It's set back, as is in the 2D rendering. This part of the house is set back too. So it's, in terms of how it's massed, it steps back. So it's not, it meets the requirement for a front yard, both for the structure and the fencing.
And part of that front yard is the parking area we saw on the plot plan.
The parking area is in the front yard. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's concentrate on this. We have some rather large windows in this, I guess the stairwell, if you will. I just want to get some comments on this west front elevation from the board members. Val Florio.
If this project has a rendering, it would be helpful. I
I
find.
do. I can bring that up right now. One second.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
this is one of these projects where I think black and white drawings don't do the design justice as, you know.
I'm surprised at the towers. Like they look like they're big towers.
I have the west, which is the front rendering, up on the screen at now. So yes.
Okay.
So Brian, what is inside that tower? Is that a 2-story space?
It is the I do have the architect here who can explain the programming inside of that.
That would be the floating stair tower.
Okay.
That's the staircase.
Got
It's
it.
a free floating steel staircase.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right.
And what would be the trim treatments around the windows?
We have a detail sheet, if you'd like to see it at the end, that shows every detail of the doors, the windows, and the eaves.
Great.
In color with some samples that we dropped off. It's all yellow cedar roofing, vertical yellow cedar siding, yellow cedar fascia, and trim boards with the yellow cedar roof, which will all gray out to be subtle.
Can we see the next elevation, please, or rendering of another
You
side?
can go to the rear rendering, and then we can go through elevations. Now you have the rear rendering area. Are you seeing that on your screen?
No, that's still the front.
Still in front.
Give me 1 second. I don't know why that's doing that this evening. How about now?
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Rear elevation, which would be the east elevation of the backyard.
It doesn't have the caps. Brian, it doesn't have, now the rendering doesn't have on the chimneys, it doesn't have those big tower caps.
Right.
Picture did. This is, I mean, honestly, I like the back.
You can get rid of the chimney caps. We just needed to figure out, they're not masonry fireplaces, so I just needed to figure a way to cap the chimneys, but we can remove those. I like this better as well.
Yeah.
So we can make that edit.
Can you see the entire thing? On my screen, I only see a part of the pool house and part of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see the entire rendering?
Yes.
I think so. We see the whole back of the house and the
Okay,
whole
fine.
pool.
It's just my screen.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
And then we'll come back to so we'll proceed to the east elevation. These will be removed. The east elevation is the rear, we'll go to the sides because the sides are not rendered. So this is the north side, which if you're looking at the house would be to the left. Again, we'll remove these caps as just recommended by the board.
If I could just point out to the earlier comments, which I apologize, it's been a long night for all of us, but I was working with the grades, as you can see in the center of the house. The house does step down 32 inches to work with as much of the grade as we could possibly work with. And then again, we step down with a small retaining wall down to the pool level. So the house does totally flow from front to back and step down with the grade and with the pyramid law. Maybe even to the detriment a little bit of the floor plan, but we needed to do that and wanted to do that to try to keep the height and make everything work properly. As far as adding additional, excuse me?
No, go ahead.
No, as far as adding additional information on the site and working with different landscaping, that's fine. It's just that we did put a lot of effort into the house itself and trying to make it work with the topography of the property.
And we will make that reflective of the grading plan with contouring lines to reflect the work that has gone into siting this house on this lot. Any questions or comments with
the pool and the pool house? They could act as retaining walls, and you could have more buffer or retain some part of this. The way it reads, it looks like I already made my comments, but there are ways you can mitigate the total annihilation of the backyard.
Well, the property has a big hole in the bottom left-hand corner. That was the biggest issue, honestly. It goes down 14 feet from the road. So it's a big hole in that back left-hand corner. That's why we tried to put the pool house there to mitigate that.
Steve Williams, regarding the architecture.
These are the trim details that you were looking for, Mr. Chairman, in terms of the doors. This was in the packet, materials, trim, and so on, which was part of the submission.
Steve Williams, how do you feel about the architecture?
Well, so far my concern is only on those stair tower windows that face out to the street, to Lincoln. I think that they're very large, and I don't think that we have other windows that I can think of. So I think that's my concern. I think they should be closer to the scale of the windows to the left of the stair tower. I just think they're very, very large. I know you want to get in light and air and all that other stuff. I understand that, but they just seem to be, they'll dominate the street.
Judith?
I agree with Bethany, where you went from the front of the house and then you showed the back of the house, and I got this feeling of relief when I saw the back of the house, because there's something about the front of the house that feels slightly sinister, whereas you get to the back of the house and it looks quite nice. And maybe Val would be able to suggest something to soften the front of the house. I don't know. But maybe making those windows smaller, as Steve says, would help.
Bob Adams?
The towers in the front, they don't really go with that house. This is my suggestion. They make it smaller.
Val Florio?
So I get the fun questions, but I think that.
I'll pull up the front elevation for you.
Yes, thank you.
Well, I think you're getting a consensus from the board in terms of this is a very powerful element on the front of the house.
Yep.
And to the point, the reason why I asked you, Brian, what is the function of the second floor? You've got a staircase, which doesn't necessarily need to have a roof that's, towering. Now you've got something that looks, on the verge of a modern silo, if you will. But I think if you can pull the roof down to the point where it's going to help, I won't say minimize, but it's going to help soften the look of this. And I also think that the use of the glass on the front, always a concern on a roadside. So I think the renderings look fantastic. I think everyone's just sort of making a unanimous or a consensus, I should say, on the look of the front tower, which is a very powerful element on this
And
house.
the other silos too. I mean, that's exactly what they collect to me is silos.
Yeah.
Well, these are the chimney caps, which we're going to remove so that'll come out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And to that point, Brian, they do make chimney caps where you don't necessarily have to get the peaked roof kind. So if that's the architect's, he put them there for a purpose, I think we find something suitable that would.
Sure, like a flat cap.
Replace it. Yeah. All right.
Okay, so the way I see it, if there could be a little more sensitivity taken to the site. I understand it's a tight lot, but it's not licensed to mow it down and bulldoze it and take all the trees out. For me, I think it's a handsome house. The silo in the front is definitely problematic. Everyone has brought that up. And if you could indicate what trees you're going to save, and you could have some fun with the sides of this house and the pool house and the pool. You could have a negative edge. You could have all kinds of things going on to help work with this site a little bit. But I think what's really interesting about this site is it is so dynamic, and you can get really creative on it. So
okay, thank you.
Those are my comments.
Great.
I make a motion to table 40 Lincoln Street.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Hopefully that was helpful.
That was, thank you. And that's to the next meeting, Mr. Chairman?
May 13th.
Thank you.
And with that, we go to discussion.
Brian's up again.
162 Madison Street.
Good evening, members of the board. Brian DeSessa, attorney for the applicant. I got the end of the agenda tonight, so I'll take it. We're back. We were here a couple months ago, last fourth quarter of 2020, with an addition. Since then, what we've done is we've cut 20 feet off of the proposed addition, and we've asked for some other things as well with respect to repairs for the existing house. So I'm going to walk through the. This is the.
So I just want to jump in here in the interest of time. I met Zach on site and Bethany. We reviewed it, and Zach can probably jump out with a couple of initial comments that might be helpful to you. As far as this surprise repair stuff, again, you know, with Zach and some sort of resolution, you know, before I, you know, go into any of those brackets and soffits and good stuff, that someone's gonna have to really take a close eyeball at that. So with that,
Right.
Zach, can you just opine on what we found at that site?
Sure. Well, real quickly, I think we all remembering the earlier proposal, which had been a larger back extension. I think what we found was that where this is being proposed to be built is not going to, you know, impact what is of historical importance to the building, generally speaking. So, however, from a design standpoint, even though there's now a little hyphen that separates that back section from the historical house, there's still a somewhat jarring. I mean, the main historical house steps back to a lower gable roofed extension, and then you drop down to a flat roofed wing. And so just from a design standpoint, because I think this actually can be seen minimally from the street, that some sort of a transition from existing to proposed would be helpful. I also find that that's a lot of glass. I don't know how much of that glass can be seen from the street, perhaps because of these extensions that are of one story, you know, in the main part of the building. Maybe that screens that entirely. I'm not sure.
It does. But we have pictures to that effect. We'll
okay.
Provide those.
So I just feel that what's proposed is now much smaller than originally, but it's still a kind of a little flat roofed cube attached to this Victorian two-story house. And aesthetically, I don't feel that those quite relate as they should.
Okay, Brian, continue, please.
Can I respond? Yeah. So a couple of things. So the height was reduced and the size was reduced. So what I'm showing here with the mouse was there was another 20 feet that was previously proposed, which was cut off. The roof height that I'm screening here with my mouse is at 13 feet. So the addition is 13 feet in height. So from the street, and this is a streetscape view with the house and the landscaping, we'll provide actual photos and impose it. You cannot see the addition from the street based on the angles and the neighboring and existing landscaping. Now, the neighbor to the south, there's been some clearing over there on the neighbor side, which now potentially expose the addition from the neighbor, which is in the board's purview. We proposed screening on that side, as well as the flat roof is a green roof. So there's to simplify it, a moss-like growth on the top. So when the neighbor looks over, they're seeing a green roof versus what's there now. In terms of the punctuation, the thought there was in reviewing the guidelines for historical renovations and rehabilitations, that if you were to ever remove the proposed addition, you would be able to do so without impacting the historical fabric of the existing house. That being the hyphen. So the area that we're looking to do that with would be able to, at a future date, should that want to happen, the historical elements of the house would be remaining intact. The most common, I think, of that is if you look at the library, right? So you could tell clearly distinguish old from new. With the existing house there are windows in the existing house that we wish to, bring light in. So the purpose of the flat roof is twofold. It's aesthetics for the new addition and light into the historic part of the house.
Okay.
The existing addition that's there that is not historic that we're proposing to demo does have approximately, I think it's, my notes say 15 or 16 feet of it here is already flat roof. So there's an existing flat roof on the area that we're proposing to demolish and renovate. So
All the way at the back. Yes.
yeah, the roofed area that we're talking about is really a small section here that exists as a gable roof that in the new addition we're proposing to remove. So
This site is massively screened.
it is. That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
There are manicured gardens that are all over the place, which kind of depict what's going on with this, addition in the back. The fact that putting a sedum roof on top of this thing, I think, is really fun, and it really is. Clearly, they love architecture and they love landscape design, and I think it's fun, and the fact they reduced it is great. We're out there with Zach. He saw where that connector is a mini connector, but still, that said, it's a clear cut between the two architectures, which you cannot see from the street.
We've also changed the materials since you last saw it, so we're now shaking the addition to kind of bring continuity and color.
Okay.
It's not as stark of a contrast, which were comments from the board, which we were receptive to. So you're still able to differentiate, but we're able to attach, if you will, with materials.
Okay.
To kind of, bring that through. And that's what
I think that's a big improvement.
The renderings here kind of show. And the use of glass to the chairman's comment is because there's such great gardens that they wanted to make this, it's like a garden room, bringing the outside in. And that is on the most screen side. So if you look at the other sides, there's less glass. We put the glass on the southern side where those gardens are in that area is. So, and in this, looking toward the street, this would be looking from the pool area toward the street. You see where the historic parts are. The height is tucked into, we have this whole southern portion of the house is a existing flat roof, 1-story. So we kind of, that line, although we're the new addition is a couple of feet higher, you still have that element of flat roof existing on here and on the historic part of the home that travels down that, southern side.
Okay, so I really like it a lot, and I'll just run through for comments, if that's okay. It's just that little plan you snuck in with messing around with the brackets. We're gonna really need to strike.
Yeah, so if I could, it wasn't a sneak in. I had talked with Zach at the site, and the homeowner actually had met Zach at the site about wanting to, not replace but correct, because you'll see part of it coming off of the house, and the design, as Zach will say, is poor to have a flat roof drainage system where you're containing water. So we're not looking to change that. We're looking to fix and repair.
Okay.
So we'll work with Zach and come up with some sort of resolution or a solution.
Sure, we could do that.
Val Florio, comments on the architecture.
Well, we like this, I think, initially from when it was first presented. And I think the important thing is it's a 1-story ingredient. And I think that's why it's going to get consideration in terms of its modernity, if you will. And the use of glass also is 1-story. And again, I think we have to look at modern architecture as a case-by-case scenario. And this is a case where it works. And I think that it would confuse this house if you did it with a flat roof in the brackets. It would look like, well, you've got more of the existing condition. And to Brian's point, in terms of a clean break, the library is a good example. So I like that illustration. I use when I recall Zach, he said, we're not in Ireland, but this is something that they do across Europe. To very, very old houses in terms of new versus existing. So I think it's a good addition to the house.
Bethany?
I think it's a wonderful compromise in a way from where we started and where it is now. They made it smaller. I did have one question though, like with the rendering, you don't see it at all. But if you go up, Carrie, so I can see the bottoms. Keep going, right here. Is it the
So this area that's here, when it's on a 2D plane, is
Yeah.
actually behind these bushes, but we can't put the bushes on the
Oh,
plane. So
okay,
when you
I
do the
gotcha.
2D drawing,
I gotcha. All right.
it's looking at it.
I couldn't, yeah, okay.
No, absolutely. And
It's
that's
way back.
It's
It's
New York.
correct.
Way back.
Yeah, good.
It's not a good
And I
depiction,
love the
although
way
in the
the
2D.
glass is on the one side of the
Mm-hmm.
new.
Bob Adams?
I think it's a great plan, and I like the glass itself.
Judith?
Yes, I'd like to compliment Brian on his presentation. I thought it was very clear, and I think it's a wonderful project.
Steve Williams?
I think it's a wonderful project, and I have to learn architecture ease like Val just laid on us.
Yeah, we haven't.
I hope we have a recording of it, but I like the plan. It's well done.
So Brian, boy, that sounds really good.
Yeah, so we have filed a full application. I know because of the repairs, it became a discussion this evening. So I would ask, because we've been here for a few discussions, if we could schedule a hearing for the end of May.
Okay, great. So, yes, can we do that, Carrie? Carrie? Liz, Val, can we schedule a meeting from a discussion?
The public hearing.
Yes, you can. You're in full session. You have, you can schedule a public hearing. Absolutely.
Okay, I make the motion to schedule a public hearing for 162 Madison Street for May 27th. Is there a second?
Okay, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That was myself and Bethany.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. 19 Walker Avenue. 19 Walker.
Yes, 19 Walker.
Okay, please state your name for the record and tell us about your project.
Hi, my name is Michael Brosnan, and I live at 37 Prospect Road in Sag Harbor. I propose to build a, I think it's about 2,400, 2,500 square foot residence on 19 Walker. It's a piece of land that I just purchased. I think I got moved to, Liam, did I get off here? I think I got moved to discussion because my application has been in for a while for the meeting since the end of January. But I did guess due to the pandemic and COVID, we've been behind a little bit. And then on Thursday of last week, I was presented with a new checklist that the ARB has gotten out to prospective people applying for certificates of appropriateness. And there's a few things on there that obviously I am not ready for and wasn't ready for and can't get my surveyor to get on time and the draftsman to get on time. So that's where I am. We've been moved to discussion. You guys have the plans. I sent in a packet of plans. You have the surveys as well. It's very similar to a house I built at 23 Robeson Boulevard up on Chatsfield Hill. I guess you're showing the plans now. And I put a landscape plan in. If I can address Dean, there was an issue that came up about the trees, which is was when we stopped. Anything over a 10-inch caliper on the tree would be identified on the survey. Well, on this piece of property, it's got quite a few trees over 10. But what I could suggest is that, I did a piece of a development with 31 Meredith, which is around the corner, about 2 years ago. And what you guys had me do was go out and tag trees that I proposed to keep to the best of my ability. I went and I did that after I'd gotten that request by you guys on Thursday of last week. I went and I did that, hoping that we could still keep this moving. But I guess you guys decided that maybe we should put it on for discussion, and I'm fine with that. But I did go out there and I did.
About your project, please, sir. Just tell us about. Can we look at the house and you can tell us about it? I mean, you're missing some details in the house, like how the trim around the windows and stuff like that. There are a lot of things missing on the landscape plan, like a plant list and what's going on. It looks like this is another situation where the site's clear cut. You know, so please,
Site has not- the
I
site has
just
not
don't want, it's late at night. We don't need a lecture. There is a check thing with, you know, I'm sorry that, you know, things are delayed, but it is what it is. And, you know, it's a wooded property. I think it merits a grading plan. What's going on with the soffit? You know, where's the plant list? Eve detail, trim, door, window. Please explain the project to us, and so we can move forward. But, you know, I just don't appreciate the lecture.
I'm not trying to lecture you at all, Dean, and there is a plant list on the landscape plan, clearly. There's a legend on there that shows the plants, but I'm not looking to lecture. I'm just explaining how this got moved from an application for a permit to you moved it to discussion.
I don't think that there, you know, spirea, what is the size of that? I don't know, but I don't want to talk about the plants right now because this is devoid of any essence of the nature of place over there. I don't see any existing trees. I would like to talk about the structure and the details regarding the structure. And, you know, I'm looking at a box here, so maybe you can enlighten us and let us know what the trim is around the windows. I mean, it's a very simple drawing, and, you know, I think it merits like a discussion. And here we are at a discussion.
And I think I gave you pictures of an actual house of 23 Robeson.
I do not want to see a picture. We need to have this. We need details, you know, so as a discussion, you can decide if you're going to go in another direction or give us details. So please explain to us what the structure is.
I will give you details rather than go and explain to you what every part of this structure is. I will put trim details on there. I'll show that it's cedar. If pictures are not, they don't suffice, then
No, you know, this is not a new trend that's acceptable where people stamp on a picture of a beautiful gate and say, here it is, this is what we're going to build. No materials, you know, no dimensions and things like that. I mean, you know, pictures are beautiful, but that's not what we need. When we send the inspector out in the field to say, hey, we approve this plan, here you go, and all information is there for these people to make a decision if it was built or not. And you know, a photograph, please, this is standard stuff, and you know what I'm saying. We need a grading plan. We need to know what trees, you know, you could bubble out like a section of these trees are going to be saved. You know, we've gone through as a board where the grading plan wasn't implemented, and you know tons of people are upset because their property is getting washed out. So you know, these requests are not just to request you to, you know, jump through a hoop. It's important. This project merits a grading plan, some details, and an attempt to save some existing trees and to work with the neighborhood that you're in, which is an oak tree neighborhood. And those are my comments. And if you would like to opine on your design, that would be great.
I'm not going to opine on my design at this point, Dean. I guess this checklist that you put in front of me the other day, there's still some work to be done on it. There's a decision whether that 10-inch caliper thing is going to stay or not, going back and forth. You know, your request for the Suffolk County Health Department information and permit to be put on my survey, I don't see that being an issue either. I think that you're probably going to withdraw that, but I think at this point I'll just come back and I'll put more details on my plan.
This is not the venue for that. You can, you know, write the mayor or legal.
Yeah, I think, Dean, I think I'll just come back with the details that you requested on my plan and as much information as I can get you on the survey that's legal. And we'll go from there. But if you guys can keep me updated on the tree rule and what's going to happen with that, because I've had some discussions with the building inspector and some other people, and they say that that's not going to happen. And
I'm telling you, sir, this is what we're requesting as a board. In the code, that ARB can ask for something. This is a totally wooded lot. And I was like, you could do a bubble diagram. You say, you know, if, you know, this area here, we're going to preserve and we're not going to cut down any trees in here. Or, you know, there are 2 in there. Along the street, you know, there are 5 really big 10-inch trees that we're going to keep. There's no 10-inch rule. We have a wide latitude to ask for things. I'm asking for an attempt to work with the existing site.
And Dean, I did do an attempt. I tagged trees and I put a message in there that I had tagged them. And I asked if you could go take a look at them to see which ones I was going to attempt to save.
When did you tag them, sir?
Friday afternoon.
So, where are we going with this? I'm just curious because I think you said you're going to come back. I think we all look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, I think as far as the plans go, which is what the chairman is asking, as far as the detail on what the trim is and what the siding is, if the pictures that I gave in with my application didn't suffice, I'll go back and put that information on the plan. I have no problem doing that. I have no problem attempting to save trees that weren't being saved and that aren't in the aren't going to restrict me to build. No problem at all. Again, I worked with the chairman on the last one on 31 Meredith.
We heard you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Brosnan, we know you're a great builder, but we've been subjected to some funny stuff, and it's important that we get what we want on the plans, and it is what it is. I hope you appreciate that.
I completely understand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
10 Yale Road, please.
Good evening. And then there was one. Hi, Melissa Dedovich, Peconic Environmental Associates. I'm here on behalf of 10 Yale. I'm also joined by members of our architectural team from Blaise McCoy Architects, who will be explaining the project. Actually, if Liz, could you put your video on?
Yes, so I have my video on.
Okay, so Liz will be sharing the screen and explaining it. We're coming before the board. We've been working for the last 2 years on this project. It's a lot that's bounded by water. Actually, Liz, if you could put the survey on, that'd be great. So we've been working with the clients now for 2 years. It's an existing 2-story residence. As you can see, it's a very constrained lot. We have water on 2 sides, and then we also front on Yale Road. And we've gotten our DEC approval. We've gotten our board of review approval from the health department, which took quite a while, especially with COVID. And we just recently this week got our ZBA approval for the proposed garage due to the fact that a portion of the area between the house and the garage is less than 10 feet, which is the required. So we just got approved from the board earlier this week.
It's not in writing yet. I have to write it. But.
Okay, she has to. But it looked favorable, right, Liz?
Yes.
Yes. And we're presently working on a response to the Harbor Committee. So we wanted to proceed and at least let the ARB put some eyes on this and give us some feedback. We do have a landscape plan that's right now being worked on and tweaked with the Harbor Committee. So we don't have that, but I would like to share with the board what we're looking at. And actually, Liz, if you could share what the project is, that would be wonderful.
Sure. Okay, so I will take you through just the neighborhood really quickly. This is Yale Road, looking south at the water. Property is to the right. And then looking north on Yale Road, just looking at some adjacent neighbors for context. This is the existing house looking from the street, and the existing house from the water side. You can see it has heavy presence on the point. And here we've got our proposed east elevation, which would be the elevation facing the street. We're proposing a shingle siding house with, dark aluminum window frames and dark metal trim. We're also proposing an entry porch of 1x4 cedar siding with the wood trellis members at that porch as well, with the same wood finish. At the base, we're calling out for a light stucco finish, and the same stucco finish at the 2 chimney masses beyond here. And the detached garage, as you can see, is also a shingled structure with that same horizontal cedar board. So we've got our north elevation, again, shingle siding, clearly see the kind of metal trim around the windows. And we've got an accent standing seam metal roof with a dormer. And this is the south elevation facing the water. As you can see, we've got, again, expansive cedar shingle roof and larger opening glass facing the water. And the west elevation also facing the water towards the pool. And just some renderings. So again, you can see the four main materials that we're using are the cedar shingle siding, horizontal cedar boards. Again, the darkened bronze aluminum window frames with some darkened metal trim. And this is kind of front elevation from the street, what you would see at that kind of entry view. You can get a better picture of those kind of wood slat elements that we're using at the entry porch. And again, same view from the water with our proposed structure, just showing its presence. And here we just want to kind of go through the adjacent neighbors. Directly across the road at 11 Yale Road, they've got a pretty similar palette and similar character of the house that we're proposing. A little bit further down the road at 7 Yale Road, more traditional house, still wood siding, and directly adjacent at 6 Yale Road, more modest cottage with shingle siding. And we also recently received letters of support from the two adjacent neighbors at 6 Yale Road and I believe 7 Yale Road, which we submitted to the ZBA, but we can include that also to our formal application. And as you can see from the adjacent neighbors, we feel that the materials we're using are sensitive to the character of the neighborhood and really speak to what's surrounding in the neighborhood.
And just to remind the board that this is in the Redwood section, which is a little separated from the village proper. Well, we have there are many different types. I mean, if you drive through Redwood, many different types of architecture, but this one we feel, I think the Blaise McCoy team did a very good job of, we wanted to keep the existing house and reworking it.
That's a good angle. That's a better than the first one. Okay, fantastic. So, can we go to some, let's see. We'll start with Steve. Steve, any things that jump out at you, good or bad, regarding this this presentation?
Yeah, I think it's nice. I think it's a little bit understated, and it's integrated in some new features and amenities without being overpowering. So I like it.
And I guess I can't remember today, but wasn't there a clump of some sort of oaks along the street there? Are those being preserved?
Unfortunately, the challenge, if you look at this, is trying to maximize the septic setback. So we had to use an IA system, so I don't think we're going to be able to save those two oaks. But that being said, the trees that are in the proposed buffer will be staying, and we will be doing some additional planting along the property line to the north. And of course, we'll provide a full landscape plan to the board when we formally apply.
I think it's a very nice design so far. Val Florio?
I agree. It's a really attractive house. In terms of the texture, the massing, the roof lines, it's sort of I'd say a modern interpretation of a coastal community type design, but it's very pleasing and I think it's motion worthy.
Yeah, to that point, I drove by today and the house looks, a little, I don't know, 70s tired or something like that. And this will a pleasant addition to this block, and the property is unbelievable, I have to say. I mean,
yeah.
Judith.
I agree with everything that's already been said. It's very pleasant, very nice.
Bethany?
Seaside.
I love the way it looks from the water. And the front is it's beautiful too. But-
Bob Adams?
Very good. That's nice.
Right
Very
there,
nice.
right there.
There, that's nice.
So well done. Okay, I think that's everyone.
Wonderful.
Okay, yes.
No, I was going to say, so I guess our next step is would to be formally applying. We're again in front of the Harbor Committee, and we are waiting for the formal issuance of our health department permit. But if the board, Liz, if we're able to, I would love to be able to schedule a public hearing if possible for this for the end of May. Or do we have to wait till we get through Harbor Committee?
At the Harbor, you can schedule a public hearing, but it's your risk, obviously. I mean, if the Harbor Committee changes anything on the plan that's substantial, then you'll have to, and we already have a hearing on it, and then the plans change after the hearing, then you may have to have another. That's the only risk.
I think we'll take that risk right now. We can always come back to modify.
I'll make the motion to set the public hearing for 10 Yale Road on May 27th. Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So that's myself and Val.
Wonderful. Thank you very
also
much.
Make the motion to adjourn the meeting of April 22nd. Is there a second?
Got it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Good night.
Good night.
Night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Good night.
It was Dean and who seconded it?
Oh,
We all
Val
did.
seconded.
yes, that's.
Yeah,
You,
it's a
Judith?
unanimous closure of this meeting.
No, I think you